for destroying his 52-inch television set. April says she caught Sean cheating.
This is Miss Seiler, who has a very bad temper. Mr. Hamilton, you and Miss Seiler were living together for several years. You have a child together.
Yes, sir.
According to your complaint, the defendant became irrationally jealous because she had heard some rumors of you fooling around at work. And one day she came to work, she confronted you, she saw you talking to this woman. When you got home from work, you found that she had destroyed a 52-inch television set. Is that right?
Yep.
So let me hear. That's what he's suing for. When did you destroy his television set? On what date?
July 20th, I think.
And tell me what happened on July 20th.
I went up to work and I've seen
His
him.
work?
Our work.
You work at the same place?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And he was talking to a female, and I asked him what was going on, and he said that they were just friends. And so I said, well, that's not what I've heard. So I went home, and he stayed with...
And that's all that was the whole conversation?
Basically, and he stayed with the girl. And I went home...
And you said, that's not what I've heard, and you left?
I said, that's not what I've heard. You guys have been seeing each other. And she said, it's not like that. And he said, we're just friends. And I said, whatever, and I walked away.
Okay.
And then I went home, and I was talking to my mom on the phone.
You were telling your mother what had happened?
Yes, and I was very mad, so I said, oh, and I hate him, and I kicked the TV. And there's like a big hole, and my whole foot like went inside the TV.
So you destroyed the television?
Mm-hmm. And then a couple minutes later, he came home and said he was going to sue me and took the money that was left to get by with for the week and left.
How much did he take?
Maybe $300, $400.
And then whose money was that?
Ours.
When you were living together, you pooled your money?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened?
Yes, sir.
You pooled your money. So this $300 or $400, how much was it that you took when you...
It was approximately $300. But, Your Honor, later on in the week, I did come back and I did give her some money.
How much money did he give you later on in the week?
Hmm? He gave me money before the incident for bills, but he never gave me any money.
Afterwards?
Yeah.
The moral of the story is never fool around with a man's 52-inch television set.
And can I say another thing?
Sure.
This was like 2 weeks before football season, so...
You're not endearing yourself to me, Mr. Hamilton. Go ahead.
He's done this before in the past, and the girl confronted me and said that he had been asking her out, emailing her, he's been calling her on the phone, and I have, it's going to be 2 kids with him.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The 2 of you are not married.
No, ma'am.
You're going to have 2 children.
Yes.
Why aren't you married?
Money.
What do you mean money?
Well, I've offered to marry her, just go and get married now and then, later, we could have our big wedding or whatever, but you'd have to ask her.
Why didn't you get married 2 years ago?
Can't trust him.
You can't trust him enough to marry him, but you trust him enough to have 2 children with him?
Yeah.
Mr. Hamilton, my next question to you is, if the defendant came up to you and you were talking to this woman and she had some concerns about the relationship that you were having with this woman, why didn't you leave with her and go home and say, listen, it's really nothing. She's really just a friend. Stop getting upset.
All right. First of all, we work at a hospital, okay? It's like 95% female, so, for me sitting with this girl, and she wasn't in her right state of mind or something because she came up and she started swinging at me. I couldn't really get anything out, because I'm like covering up, and then she didn't just walk away. She ran away. I'm at work. I can't just leave work.
Did you start swinging as soon as you came up?
No.
No?
No.
Now, you bought this television set in 1998. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Whose money did you use?
It was mine. I had sold some rims. I had these wheels prior, before we even started dating or anything, and I got $1,200 for them, and then I saved up a little bit of cash and bought the TV.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, but he had been working off and on for the last 2-3 years.
I work on and off. I was doing lawn care at the time, and we get, you can only do lawn care in Michigan because it snows 6 months out of there.
So who was supporting the household when you weren't doing lawn work at the time you bought
I would do
television?
odd jobs in the wintertime, like plow snow. And
were you working full-time?
Mm-hmm.
And she was working full-time?
Yeah. But I would bring it in a sufficient amount of money, enough to pay the bills and everything.
Where are you living now?
I live at my mom's right now.
You have a TV?
No, ma'am, I don't. I don't have nothing from the house.
I have no furniture?
Nothing.
He took the couch.
I had
and
one
sold
couch
it.
that was in the basement that our cats urinated on for 2 years.
Did you move in that house together?
Yes, but her name's on the house.
But you moved into the house together. Did you furnish it together?
Yeah.
And when he left, you kept all the furniture except for the couch that was in the basement?
He took his computer.
I'm talking about furniture.
Yes, because now I'm stuck with the house and I can't afford it, so I'm going to have to sell it. And I told him I would give him the stuff, but for now it's me and my daughter, you know.
So you have the furniture?
Which is fine. She can have the furniture, and I mean, you know, I want my
He just
daughter.
wants a TV. You see
Yeah.
how important? Because
Well,
football
every time
season.
every time we got in a fight, she told me, you know, get your TV and get the F out. I mean, I feel the TV's mine.
So you need some money to go out and buy a new TV, right?
That'd be nice.
Well, she had a temper tantrum. So when you have a temper tantrum, you got to pay for a temper tantrum.
And I have pictures of the TV too, Your Honor.
But believe me, sir, I have a husband. I know what a 52-inch TV is. Now, how much is it going to cost you to buy a TV? You paid $1,200 for this one?
I have receipts here.
Can I see it?
Yes, you can.
How much was the television set? So you got a whole lot of other things here.
I paid $15.49 for my TV,
Okay.
and that model's not made anymore. So they compared it to the model that's out now. That's closest to it.
Well, you may have to get a 48-inch television. And I'm not even going to depreciate it because, Miss Seiler, you ended this relationship, or this relationship was ended, and it seems to me that over the 2 years or more that you were living together, you accumulated certain property that you're keeping. All he wants is his TV. You destroyed it. And he paid $1,549 for it, and I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
19-year-old Chris Alford is suing his ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old Ashley Griffin, for a loan to pay her rent. Ashley says Chris gave her the money.
Mr. Alford, the defendant used to be your girlfriend. According to your complaint, you are no longer involved in a relationship, but at some point prior to your breaking up, you loaned her $300. You want that money back.
Yes. This was after we broke up. Like, we broke up, then she called me.
So you lent her the money after you were no longer together.
Yes.
When did you lend her the money, sir?
I sent it the 1st of July.
Tell me about that.
All right, we broke up, whatever, when she came up
She came up where? You
to
have
Philly. We was no longer seeing each other.
You live in Philadelphia.
Yes.
You live where?
Florida.
And when did she come to Philadelphia?
Like the beginning of June.
Who did she stay with?
Her mom, I guess.
Your mom lives in Philadelphia?
Outside of Philadelphia.
Stop moving up and down. When she came up to Philadelphia to visit her mother, and you, I assume.
I saw her a couple hours.
That's not
Were you
true, Your
still
Honor.
dating?
Then, yeah.
What caused you to stop seeing each other in a romantic way?
Chris Alford says ex-girlfriend Ashley Griffin owes for a loan to pay her rent. Chris also says Ashley is a two-timer.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, she missed her flight, right? In the morning time, she missed her flight.
She missed her flight going back to Florida?
Yes.
When was that?
I don't know the exact date.
It was sometime in July.
He said you went up in June.
No, it was like the middle of July sometime.
Did you miss your flight going home?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were in Philadelphia?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What happened when she missed her flight, sir?
She missed her flight, and she called some guy and was like, I missed my flight. It cost $50 or something to pay the balance or something. And I was like, who's that on the phone? And I turned around, whatever, because I was half asleep when all this happened. She hit me, whatever, like, oh, I missed my flight. Da-da-da-da.
So what you're saying is she was sleeping over at your house?
Yes.
Well, then you were with her more than just a couple of hours during this visit to Philadelphia.
Okay.
All right, so you decided you didn't want to see her anymore because she was talking to somebody else and borrowed $50 from somebody else. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mr. Alford? Could we get to it, please?
All right.
Is that what happened?
Other stuff too, but that's what started it all.
And then this other young man sent you money or called up and said, add the ticket on his credit card, and you went home.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why you needed this $300, Miss Griffin.
Can I start from the beginning?
No.
Well, because I was going back home in July. So I had already bought my ticket, and I was short for my rent. So I asked him for the money. I didn't say, can I borrow it? I asked him, can I have it? And he said, yeah. and he gave me the money.
So you needed the $300 for rent because you'd spent the money.
But I was off, and we spent more than just that night together. He picked me up from the airport, and I was with him that day, and we went to go pick up his witness.
Tell me about when you called him and asked him for the money.
Well, I called him, and I pretty much said I needed the money for the rent because I was short.
Where were you when he gave you the money?
I was at my house.
In Florida?
Yes, ma'am. He Western Unioned me the money.
You have the receipt for Western Union?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Alford, I'd like you to tell me about the conversation that you had with her about the $300, please.
All right, I'm in the car, me and 3 friends of mine, and my phone rings. And I put it on speaker because I couldn't drive and talk. So I'm talking to her, and she's like, oh my God, I don't have enough money to pay for my rent, this, and that. And I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do about that? Then she said, would it be possible if you could send me $300 and I will pay you back next Friday on my paycheck? Everybody in the car heard her say that.
Don't tell me what they heard. Did you hear it?
I heard it clearly. It's right here. The phone's right here. I was listening, talking like, all right, well, I can't spare it. You know what I mean? So you got to send it back next Friday. And you can see on Western Union, date was July 1st. If she just now said she was in Philly.
You're absolutely right, sir. It was July 1st.
I said he sent me the money July 1st. I said I went home after July 1st.
Are you telling me you went home and then continued your relationship with him after he sent you the money?
Yes, we were still together, so I don't know why he's saying we weren't. We were together at that time. Why would I stay at his house? Why would he pick me up from the airport if we weren't together?
He says it was in June.
It was in June. That's why you was at my house. It was in June, man.
Well, you must have your airline ticket.
I don't have it.
Who was this other person that you called for $50?
All right, when he came down, he knew about the guy already.
Don't tell me what he knew. I didn't ask you for a whole story. I said, who was this other person?
It was some other guy that I was messing with.
So now what you want me to believe is he sent you $300 to help you cover your rent. Then you went up to Philadelphia to see him. But at the time that he sent you the $300 for the rent, you were messing around with somebody else that he didn't know about. Is that right?
No, he knew about him. We were only like...
friends.
No, we weren't friends. We were more than friends. But at that time, I knew I could depend on him.
You have to learn that you have to stand on your own 2 feet. You have to stop relying on people, and you have to stop using people. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Dewanique Key says her cousin, Datiana Johnson, used her identity during 2 traffic stops. Datiana claims on the first occasion, she was drunk.
You're going to find this really interesting, Bird. Guaranteed. You see, Miss Johnson over here got stopped by the police for a traffic infraction. The first time you were stopped, what kind of violation was it, Miss Johnson?
Speeding.
Speeding. And how fast were you going?
I think I was going like 60, I think, 50.
Could you keep your voice up, please?
Like 60 or about 55.
And when she got stopped for speeding, according to the complaint, which is, you know, not disputed by the defendant, she gave her cousin's name. Your cousin?
Yeah. Yes,
she gave her cousin's name because she didn't want to get in trouble. And that worked out just fine, except she never showed up to pay the ticket or anything else. She just let it go. Right?
Yes.
Then she got stopped again. And she figured it worked so well the first time, according to her.
Why not?
She gave her cousin's name again.
This must be her favorite cousin.
And what did you get stopped for the second time, Miss Johnson?
Running a stoplight.
In what jurisdiction do you live?
Los Angeles.
She again gave her cousin's name.
What can I explain? The first time, you know?
It's not funny. I don't think you're funny. I don't think you're funny at all. So let me go further, and then we're going to get the details of this fiasco because, you know, I like to sort of lay out the situation. So she gives her cousin's name twice. Her cousin finds out about it. How?
I was getting insurance on my car, and the lady notified me that my license was suspended, and I had 2 tickets on my record. And I could not get insurance until the license was cleared up.
So your license, they suspended your license?
Yes, ma'am.
You're lucky they didn't issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes. And this was, I was driving around. I didn't find out till like 10 months later that my license, it has been suspended 5 months before I even knew about it.
So she and her cousin discuss it, and she decides to do the responsible civic thing and goes to court and pleads guilty.
I plead guilty.
Yeah, she pleads guilty.
Okay.
And and they assess her fines. And this is what the case is about. She wants her cousin to pay the fines, all the fines, for the 2 tickets she got.
Your
And
Honor.
the cousin says, I don't know. We're family. Because I was trying to understand what your defense is. So before I go on, I want to tell you both the following. What you did was a crime, Miss Key. Do you know that?
No.
Well, I'm going to explain that to you. When you go into court and you pled guilty, someone said to you, raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they said to you, what is your name?
Dwani Key.
And you told them your name. And then they said, how are you pleading?
Guilty.
You said, I'm pleading guilty. And you're pleading guilty because you were guilty.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you were doing. When you enter a plea of guilty, what you're doing is you are perpetrating a fraud on the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a crime. You can't do that. You can't do that. And when you gave her name, that is a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Is this the first time somebody told you it was a crime?
No, it's not.
When for the first time did somebody tell you it was a crime, Miss Johnson?
The second time after I did it.
You mean you didn't know the first time?
Well, the first time I was intoxicated, and I just said the first thing came to my mind.
So not only were you speeding, you were drunk and speeding.
It was my birthday. But I mean, I was turning 21. So I was intoxicated that day.
Judge, the only reason why I pled guilty, she agreed to pay me. So we didn't have to go through all these court processes. She said, I'll pay you for it, don't worry about it. Under that, I said, okay. Once I got that money, I told her, this is how much it costs, you owe me this, and it has to be done by August 8th. That was our court date. I didn't get any money but $50 from her.
Just a second. You have a driver's license?
Yes, I do.
Go get it.
Your Honor, at the time she did.
Get your driver's license.
I didn't bring it with me today.
Go get your pocketbook. Get it and bring it in. Fast. Empty your pocketbook. Is that your driver's license?
My California ID.
I'll take it. Now empty your pocketbook. I want it.
I don't have the driver's license here.
Then empty your pocketbook.
You want me to take everything out of my purse?
I want you to give me your driver's license.
I didn't bring it. I didn't drive today.
Unless this court receives your driver's license, madam, within 3 days, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles to confiscate your driver's license. Do we understand each other? Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I ask why, though? I mean, this is like...
Because you perpetrated a fraud on the court. Her driver's license was suspended when yours should have been suspended. Don't you get that?
And I had a face to appear.
Don't you get that? Your driver's license should have been suspended. You were driving, according to you, drunk. You got a speeding ticket. You gave somebody else's name. The second time, you did the same thing. You ran a red light and gave somebody else's name, and you still have a driver's license. Your driver's license should have been suspended. And if I don't get your driver's license so that you don't have it, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles, which I may do anyway. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
This belongs to me. Now, you have 30 seconds to tell me why you don't owe those fines.
Because I was under the impression that she did community service.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Well, she told me she was going to do community service
She's
for
not doing community service for you. Why should she do community service for you? What are you doing?
She was doing it for herself.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Meaning because that's my name.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Because she called me and told me that the judge ordered her to do community service. So when she told me that, I thought it was taken care of.
What do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm not employed.
How do you support yourself?
I have ways.
How do you support yourself?
My daughter's father.
Supports you?
Child support, basically.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Why don't you work?
I was employed. I just recently stopped.
Why?
I was working through an agency, and they're looking for another job for me.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Cadillac.
I asked you a question. An answer I want.
A Cadillac.
What year?
98.
In whose name is the car?
It's in my name.
Where is it registered?
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
She just got that car, so she had plenty of time to pay me back. This car is brand new. Paid cash.
You must get a lot of child support. In any event, Ms. Key, to whom do you owe the fines?
The Los Angeles District Court from Traffic Division, I believe.
And how much is owed to them?
Roughly $1,700. One ticket was $1,189, and the second ticket was $565.
Now, Ms. Key.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get any award for brains, because what you did was so wrong. And I understand that you may feel as if, well, it's family and you didn't want her to get into trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
But what you did was against the law. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you deserve to have a consequence. I assume that you did already have a consequence.
I had enough.
You had enough?
Yes.
I believe that that's probably true. She hasn't had any yet, but believe me, she's going to have plenty, because she's not going to have a license to drive around in this new Cadillac that's in her name. Because I had this, and the police department is going to be no. You get it? Perfect. $1,754, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Jenny Rose says ex-roommate Sheena Mashoud owes for the return of rent and a security deposit. Jenny also claims Sheena slandered her via the internet.
Miss Rose, you rented a room from the defendant, and according to your complaint, you were forced to move out early.
Yes.
You want prorated rent.
Yes.
You certainly want your security deposit back. And you want compensation for what you say were very nasty things that the defendant posted about you on the internet.
That's correct.
The defendant says that you chose to move out. You don't get compensated for choosing to leave before the end of the 30 days. That your cat did some damage to the rug, so you don't get your security back. And she acknowledges she wrote nasty things about you on the internet, but she said everything she wrote about you was the truth, and the truth is a perfect defense.
True.
When did you move into this room, Ms. Rose?
On May 1st. On April 22nd, I answered an ad.
Do you recall what it said?
It said that I was going to be a roommate, that it was $400 for the rent, that she had 3 cats, and 1 more would be great. And
no, just a second. That's not what the ad said.
Yes, it did. It said she had 3 cats and 1 more would be great.
Oh, that's what the ad said?
Yes.
It must be a very long ad. Where was it?
Craigslist.com.
.org. .org. Correction. Tell me what happened when you went and looked in the house.
It was 11 o'clock at night. She said that it was dirty, but she would clean it, and that the hot water in the sink was broken, the pipe, but she would fix it before I moved in, and the toilet that I was renting out with the bathroom was broken as well, but that would be fixed as well.
How many rooms did you look at?
3 different rooms, and this is the one that I chose.
This is the one that had a broken sink, a broken toilet, and was filthy. Is the one that you chose, Miss Rose?
Actually, it was the rent. It was cheaper than normal. Others were asking for $650, so I figured I was only going to be here till the summer. It should not be an issue.
Was the toilet fixed?
No, the toilet was never fixed, and neither was the hot water, which I had to eat out because I couldn't wash dishes. There were maggots in the sink. There were roaches, flies.
Who else lived in the house?
It was supposed to be just myself and Sheena, and she brought her crackhead mother in, who has no teeth and has tattoos everywhere, who she failed to mention was an ex-convict who had been in jail for 12 years for a violent crime. Not only that, but...
Just a second. When you moved in May 1st, was her mother there?
No, her mother was not there.
When did her mother move in?
Her mother started coming by in the middle of May and started hanging out, bringing her other crackhead friends who had no teeth.
I'm a dentist's daughter. Let's not talk about the teeth. Let's talk about the drugs.
Okay.
What makes you think that she was using crack?
Because I came home the night before I moved out, and her friend were smoking crack in the living room.
That would give me a clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your mother incarcerated for, Miss Mashoud?
I believe it was theft, and she violated her parole several times.
She violated her parole because of her drug use?
No, it had to do with the fact that she wasn't seeing her probation officer like she was supposed to when she was released early.
Listen, if you're released early and you want to stay out of jail, unless you're involved with drugs, you usually see a probation officer.
Well, actually, the problem was that she moved back to Colorado without asking her probation officer, and she stayed out there for 3 years.
Well, that would be a problem.
Yes, obviously, as the rule was that she was supposed to keep in contact.
How long was she incarcerated?
I'm not sure. I never lived with my mom as a child, so.
When was she released from prison?
At least 5 years ago.
How come she started to come to your house?
Because I previously, before she had ever moved in, had paid my mom to come to my house to clean my apartment because I work 18-hour days. I have two different jobs. I work a bar job at night, and during the day I'm a special effects makeup artist. I work very hard, and I don't have time to spend, even if it is 4 hours that I get to sleep, to spend cleaning up my apartment.
You mean there's nobody else that could clean your apartment other than your mother?
Well, I don't trust anybody else to come into my apartment because I have many things that are worth a lot of money.
So what you're telling me is you trust your mother?
Yes, I do.
The mother who she says, and I believe her,
Yes.
invited somebody into your home and they were smoking dope in your house.
Nobody else other than my mom was invited into my home.
Well, she did. Bring somebody else into your home.
I had never seen the person.
Well, I'm
and I
telling
don't know
you,
who she's
she
speaking
did.
of.
She did, so your judgment wasn't very good. In choosing your mother, listen to me, your judgment wasn't very good in choosing your mother to clean your house.
I believe my judgment was just fine. Aside from the fact that she had been incarcerated before, it doesn't mean that she would do anything like that again.
Well, but she brought somebody, listen to me, she brought somebody into your house and they were smoking dope in your house.
I'm glad you believe her, but I don't know that that's true. I know that my mom has not been on drugs for many years. I know that she does have permanent psychosis because of doing drugs for many years, and that is true. But she's not a current drug user, otherwise I wouldn't bring her into my house because I wouldn't trust her around my stuff personally.
Ms. Mashoud, that's your problem. You want to have this unabiding faith in your mother with whom you say you never resided when you were growing up, who was incarcerated most of that time. That's up to you. I absolutely, 100% believe her when she says that she came home the day before she moved out and your mother was in the house smoking dope, which, as far as I'm concerned, gives her the right to leave in the middle of the month.
Well,
I'm speaking. What day of the month did you move out?
It was the 18th.
So you want prorated rent for the 12 days that you weren't there?
That's correct.
Okay, and how much does that come to?
$146.50.
My mother had not moved in at that point. She was a guest of mine.
Excuse me?
Shh. Listen to me. She doesn't. Listen to me very carefully, Miss Mashoud. She doesn't. Listen. Try to listen. I know you've got a lot going on in your hair and your face, everything else, but try to pay attention. She doesn't have to live in your house. You have invited a guest into your home, your mother, who was involved in behavior that I believe could have endangered someone else who was living in the house. If the police had come to your house and found your mother and someone else in possession of crack cocaine in your house, everyone in the house would have been involved in that drug sweep. So she was very smart to move out. And since you have acknowledged that you invited your mother into the house for the purposes of cleaning, you can't say she had no right to move. She did have a right to move. And since you invited this problem into your house, you have to compensate her for the 12 days in rent that she did not have use and enjoyment of her room. Well, that's my ruling. You may not like it. That's why you go to
her boyfriend.
That's
is a
why
speed addict,
I'm speaking.
And he's in
listen,
my and he's
listen
staying
to
in
me.
my house.
Listen to me very
For
carefully.
the whole time she was there.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I don't know where else you work or what else you do to enhance your senses, but in my courtroom, I speak, I listen.
Obviously, you don't listen very well.
You know, I'm listening. You're not hearing what I'm saying because you don't like the answer. How much is your security?
$200. I have a copy of the sublease as well.
Can I see it, please?
And I have a copy of the letter she told me to vacate immediately.
Okay.
She wanted me to pay for her mother's rent for the next month.
Listen. Did you write this letter? There will be a $500 rent increase for your bedroom and private bathroom starting July 1st. Did you write this?
Yes, that's what
All right, good.
Hutchinson told me to do.
$146.50 and $200 for your security deposit. Do you have any pictures of the ruined rug that was allegedly caused by her cats?
No, but
Good. Now I would like to see what was written on the internet.
This is a networking site that my coworkers, my supervisors and boss, as well as my family and friends read. I was contacted by one of my coworkers.
Well, the one thing I do know for sure, Miss Michoud, is that you have a filthy mouth.
Thank you.
And I assume that you work in this town?
Yes, I do.
Good. I certainly hope that enough people, since we do have a reasonable audience in this town, watch this and know that I personally am offended that a woman would use the kind of vulgarities that you do written. I don't think, quite frankly, Miss Rose, that any fair-minded, reasonable person would accept anything that you wrote here as true.
Oh, of course not.
Because she clearly is a demented, sick girl. I don't know how she finds work in this town, but clearly there are a lot of demented, sick people who want demented, sick employees. That's the problem here sometimes. I can't judge that. Clearly, this is miserable. I'm not going to ask her how she's going to establish to my satisfaction that you committed the kinds of sex acts that she attributes to you, because certainly you don't want that, and I wouldn't, because it's really unseemly. Suffice, I'm speaking! I'm speaking!
Am I going to speak at all this?
No, go speak outside. Somebody who wants to hear you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $346.50. Thank you.
Toodles.
19-year-old nanny Stephanie Goodall is suing her former employer, 26-year-old Wendy Elder, for a fraudulent check she cashed on Wendy's behalf.
Bird, you got to listen to this very carefully. I don't always ask you to do it, but this one is just one of those.
I will pay attention.
Okay. Miss Goodall was Miss Elder's nanny.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to the complaint, Miss Elder, according to her, received a check from some relative. And the check, for some reason, was made out to Miss Goodall, because according to Miss Elder, this relative was old. And she asked Miss Goodall to cash the check. Miss Goodall deposited the check for $1,850 in her checking account, and then slowly, over the course of several days, withdrew the money and gave it to Miss Elder. It turns out that the check bounced. Now, Miss Elder got the cash and spent it.
Of course.
Miss Goodall got the shaft, because her bank wants their money.
Sure.
Miss Elder is outraged that Miss Goodall is suing her, and she's going to explain why. Go.
Your Honor, I didn't write those checks. They were not in my name, they were in her name. I spoke to my relative over the phone. I explained to him that we were having a nanny for my brother's wedding, and he offered to pay expenses in nanny expenses. And I said,
okay. Just a minute. You're adding that to your answer, by the way. That's not what you said in your answer. What you said in your answer was that a relative of your husband's agreed to help you with trip expenses. Not nanny expenses, trip expenses.
Trip and nanny expenses, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Correct?
Yes,
because
Your Honor.
You say this is a relative of your husband's.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I assume your husband has a job?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what about you?
I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2.
You're a stay-at-home mom. Do you have a home?
We live in an apartment.
Do you pay rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your husband has a job?
Yes, Your Honor.
You pay telephone, gas, electric?
Yes, Your Honor.
You pay them by check or cash?
We pay them by money order.
So your husband gets his paycheck, and what does he do with it?
We go
Don't think fast. What does he do with his paycheck?
He cashes it.
Where?
At the bank.
What bank?
Wells Fargo.
Is that where you keep your account? You can't cash a check there unless...
It's drawn on there.
What kind of work does he do?
A grocer. He's a grocery manager.
How long has he worked there?
11 years.
Is there any reason why you don't have a checking account? Is not an answer. Most people have a reason. If they have a job for 11 years, they have a wife, they have 2 children, they have an apartment, they have gas, electric, telephone. Most people have checking accounts. So don't give me an answer that's not going to sit well with me, Miss Elder. Why don't you have a checking account?
We're unable to get one.
Why?
Bankruptcy.
They won't give you a checking account because you have a bankruptcy?
In the last 2 years, yes, Your Honor.
No, my dear. You may not be able to get a checking account because you've committed bank fraud before. That's a possibility.
I've never done that before, Your Honor.
Maybe your husband has.
No, he's not, Your Honor.
Well, if you have a bankruptcy, you can still get a checking account. All you have to do is put money in it.
We have a savings account.
Well, you have a savings account. Well, then you can open up a checking account in the same bank that you have a savings account in. So there's a reason why you don't have a checking account. You have to do the explanation to me how you got the money, she got the shaft, and how she has nerve to sue you. You have an answer?
No, Your Honor.
So why didn't you give her money back?
Because it wasn't, I don't have that money. I didn't give it to her.
She wasn't paid by your relative. There's a difference if your relative said, I'm going to pay your nanny, and he gives her a bad check. She cashed the check and gave the cash to you. Don't you catch the difference?
I catch the difference, Your Honor, but it wasn't, she didn't give me the whole cash.
How much money did she give you? How much money did you give her?
I gave her $1,900, Your Honor.
I have record of $1,500.
So, let's say I believe you now that we're getting to $1,500. She gave you the cash. Why shouldn't you give it back to her if the check was bad?
Well, my relative or my husband's relative should give it to her, not I.
Can I say something? I have record that shows that this was from her account, not from her relative.
Just a second. Maybe the records that you have are going to help me figure out whether she's a thief or dumb.
Okay.
Let me see.
Right.
Bakersfield Police Department advised that the account on which the check was drawn belonged to Christopher and Wendy Elder. However, the account was closed by the bank in August 2001. That makes you a thief instead of just stupid. Now, that's from the police department.
Well, they didn't talk to me at all.
I don't care whether they don't have to talk to you. Explain it to me. The account had been yours. It was closed in 2001.
I don't see how that's possible. We have record that it's still open.
Is what you're telling me now that you acknowledge this is your account? Listen to me, Miss Elder. I'm going to advise you right now, because I feel as if it's my responsibility to advise you, that we are taping this, and that I plan on sending this tape to the local law enforcement authority in Bakersfield. So far, you are very close to admitting to bank fraud. And I feel as if without having the benefit of consulting with an attorney, you would do very well to say to me, I don't think I want to answer these questions anymore, Judge. Because what you say in your answer was, listen, it wasn't my bank account, it was my relatives being about it. Now we come to a fact from your mouth that it was a bank account that belonged to you and your husband. You said, and my relative. Maybe, maybe not. But if it belonged to the three of you and a bad check was written on it and you knew that it was an account that had no funds in it, that's bank fraud, for which you can go to jail. And my sense is, if you are a woman who doesn't have a checking account and who has a husband who's worked in the same place for 11 years, you are no stranger to problems with banks. Do you follow my drift?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you want to answer my questions anymore?
No, Your Honor.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. That's all.
Deborah Didia is suing the father of her grandchildren, 23-year-old George Kwitek, for vandalizing her car. Deborah says during a fight with her daughter, George slammed the dashboard with his fist.
Mr. Didia, this is your daughter's former boyfriend, and it is your claim that he is responsible for ruining the dashboard on your car. He was in the car. You were not in the car. In the car was Mr. Kwitek and your daughter.
Yes.
He was the passenger. She was the driver. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you sit down? Daughter, stand up. We'll see if there's first any liability, and then if there is, we'll find out what the damages were. Jessica, how long were you and George a couple?
3 years.
Now, this whole argument, I gather, in the...
It was sometime in March.
Give me a date.
March 9th.
Thank you, George. This argument started, Jessica, I gather from George, because you had used a cell phone and ran up a bill of almost $900. Is that right, George?
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother was paying that bill?
No, I was.
But it's your mother's...
It was in my mother's name.
It was
yes,
in your
ma'am.
mother's name. So you were initially annoyed about the use of
I was
this...
very upset, ma'am.
Very upset. And I don't blame you. What kind of stupidity is that, to rack up a $900 phone bill?
Actually, it wasn't $900, and...
How much was it?
It was... I was only over my minutes, like...
only a little bit, and we shared a family plan between me, him, his brother, and his sister, and between all of us, we racked up the bill. It wasn't just my cell phone.
What was yours?
Mine was probably about $100 over.
I mean, are you in business or anything? Is there any reason why you were $100 over your cell phone?
No, it was probably just text messages.
For 39 cents, you could send a letter. In any event, on March 9th, you had just gotten this bill. You were very annoyed. You were in the car with her. She was on the phone while driving. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We had stopped to get...
She was on the phone while she was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she actually moving when she was on the phone?
No, actually, we stopped at the gas station. She was on the phone, and then we started driving away, and that's when I told her to get off the phone. I was very rude about her getting off the phone, which is why we got into the argument.
You were rude?
Yes,
ma'am. You said something like, get off the...
effing phone, yes, ma'am.
So you didn't think I was that hip, whatever it is. Whatever it is that I am. And she said to you...
Don't talk to me like that.
So what did you do, Jessica?
Well, at the time, I was speaking to my mother on the phone. I was having an important conversation.
About what?
About my children.
You have children?
We have 2 kids together.
How old are your children?
One's 21 months and one's 9 months.
How old are you?
19. Well, I was having a conversation with my mother on the phone, and...
Well, just a second. Where were you coming from?
His mother's house.
What were you doing there?
Dropping my children off.
What day of the week was this?
It was a Tuesday.
What time?
Around 11.
A Tuesday at 11. Is that your day off?
No, ma'am. I was laid off from work due to the weather.
So why weren't you out collecting cans? You have 2 children.
I was...
The answer is you never thought of it until I mentioned it to you. And it's a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. Were you off from work?
Well, we were going to look for an apartment, so yes, I was off work.
What kind of work do you do?
I was working with my mom doing payroll.
Doing payroll for what?
For companies. I do payroll data entry at her office.
She pays you, or the company pays you?
The company pays me.
Check or cash?
Check.
How much do you earn a week?
Probably about $300.
What do you do with the money?
I save it, and I pay bills with it.
Who takes care of your children?
His mother.
When he told you to get off the phone and was rude, did you hit him?
No.
What did you do?
At first, I hung up the phone with my mother, and I pulled over the side of the road because he was screaming and flipping out, and I wasn't going to... I pulled over, and I told him to get out of my car, and that's when he decided that he was going to bash my dashboard in.
Is that what happened, George?
To some extent.
Finish it.
Well, I didn't bash the dashboard. I just slammed my fist on the dashboard and caused a little crack on it and dented it a little bit. But what happened was she was driving and she yelled at me back, and she was driving recklessly. She pulled off the side of the road in an irrational manner and told me to get out the car. I told her I wasn't getting out of the car because I wasn't going to get stranded miles from home. And that's when she pursued to argue with me and run around the car, tell me to get out, ran inside the diner to call the cops. And at that point, that's when I decided to leave.
When Jessica got off the phone, she got really angry at me and started hitting and punching me. How come you left that out? Was that not important to you?
Well,
or was that a lie? Listen to me, George.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. Did you leave that out because when you wrote this, it wasn't true?
No, ma'am, it is true.
So why didn't you tell me that?
I don't think it was that important to the case.
At that point, I had every right to hit her back. However, I would never do that. That's your whole defense.
Yes, ma'am. That's when I turned into the dashboard.
I don't owe Deborah any money for the damaged dashboard. Her daughter was the one who instigated the incident. She was the one who started hitting me first. She's lucky that I'm not the type of man who would hit a woman. That was your whole defense. How come you left that out?
I have no idea.
You got to know how to do something, George, other than to make babies. Making babies is very easy.
Yes, ma'am.
Fish make babies, dogs make babies, cats make babies. Quiet! Polar bears make babies. Parakeets make babies. It doesn't take any brains.
You're right.
Are you working now?
Yes, ma'am. I've been working for a year and a half in construction. Like I said, I was only laid off at the time because it was the winter time, and I was laid off because I work outside all day.
Are you two living together?
No.
Who are you living with?
I'm currently living with my mother until I leave to go into the Army.
And where are your children?
Living with me, with my mom.
And what's going to happen to them when you go into the Army?
My mom and their dad, George, decided that they wanted to share custody, and so they'll each take them for half the week until after I finish boot camp, and then they're going to come live with me.
Oh. How much is your dashboard? I have the estimate. You don't need any more babies, Jessica. You have enough children now for a very long time. Did your mother tell you that?
Yes.
Ditto. You have other children at home?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many?
I have 3 still living at home.
3? How old are they?
Two 17-year-olds and a 12-year-old.
How are you going to take care of these 2 babies when you have them?
Well, we own our own business, and me and my husband are going to take turns taking care of them, working opposite shifts during the day, and the other days his mom will have them. It's only for about 7 to 8 weeks.
Your mother stays at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Who supports the family?
My father does, and I do.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,622. That's all. Step out.
Brenda O'Henley and her brother Daniel are suing their former tenant, Jared Debnam, for unpaid rent and utilities. Jared says his living arrangements were substandard, so he's not paying.
You are brother and sister, is that correct? Yes. You bought a condo together?
Yes, 2 years ago.
You live together?
Yes.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Get along?
Yep.
Yeah, for the most part.
Fabulous. How much was this condo?
It was $770,000. It's now worth $950,000.
Perfect. So you bought this condo and you did a very foolish thing. You decided to take in a 3rd roommate.
Yes.
That would be you. And according to your complaint, he owes you a whole bunch of money for rent, and primarily for rent and utilities. Mr. Debnam says, well, there was never really a formal agreement about him paying so much per month, and he's got a whole host of other problems that he encountered while living with you. You moved a girlfriend in shortly after he moved in, so he didn't feel as if that was right. There was a leak, and some of his clothes got moldy, right?
Correct.
Have you always lived in the United States of America?
Yes, I have.
So you know that this is what we call a free country.
Correct.
If you don't like something, or if you don't like a place where you're living, what can you do?
Choose to move on.
Right. You don't choose to stay, kvetch, and don't pay. You move on to where there isn't a girlfriend, where there isn't a leak, where there isn't mold, but you don't stay and don't pay. Now, you lived there for a year, and you did pay some money in a bulk. You know, you didn't pay it by month because you were sort of not working, whatever. You got a check, and you gave them $4,000.
Well, that was just a part of the check from one of my financial aid checks.
Did you have your own bedroom?
Yes.
Did you have your own bathroom?
No.
Who did you share the bathroom with?
Everybody that used the house. As far as the communal upstairs bathroom, so it wasn't just my bathroom.
And what were you supposed to pay a month?
Before we moved in, I told him, being a graduating senior, that my money was based solely upon receiving periodic financial aid checks, at which time I told him this is how I would be able to pay him whatever money. And so he knew about this situation before.
Tell me what he knew.
He knew that I would be getting financial aid checks each semester.
Fine.
And that from those checks, I would pay him what I could towards the money for living at his place.
Without any set amount? So you could have given him, let's say, $500 for 6 months, and that would have been okay?
No, Your Honor. He wanted to pay, or come to a limit to pay $750 a month.
Ah, okay. You know, I knew if you let you talk long enough, if I let you talk long enough, eventually we were going to get someplace close to the truth, sir. So, according to you, he wanted $750 a month, which you agreed to pay when you got your financial aid checks.
Correct.
How much did you give him?
A little less than $7,500 total.
So that would be for 10 months. Did he give you $7,500?
Overtime, yes.
So how much do you think he owes you?
I've come up with about $6,000.
For what?
Well, it was $750 plus utilities and a sticker for him to park his car. I actually have a breakdown of the whole payment history that I
don't need
received.
the whole payment history. If you acknowledge that he paid you $7,500, that's for 10 months. That means he owes you 3 months' rent, which is $2,250.
Well, do you not include utilities in that?
It does not include utilities,
Our
sir.
agreement included utilities.
Show me in writing. Well, what I'm telling you is, if you allow somebody to live with you for 13 months and do not collect utilities from them on a regular basis, I'm not going to waste my precious time, 2 graduate degrees, and go over month-to-month Con Edison bills. What I'm telling you is, if you got $750 a month from him, Mr. O'Henley, we wouldn't be standing here today.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
and that's exactly what I'm going to give you.
I would
$750 a month for 13 months. He's already paid you for 10, which means he owes you $2,250. Now, is there any reason why I shouldn't enter a judgment in that amount, sir?
Just for the living condition that I was provided with when living at this place. This is why he didn't receive, or what I feel he got paid the full amount of what I was provided living at this place.
That's why we talked about a free country,
Correct.
Mr. Debnam.
Correct. And so
Free
that
country
was my
means
only
you.
complaint.
Who's the person that's raising her hand that's irritating
I would
me?
agree. Except for I just didn't have the opportunity.
Who's the person raising their hand that's irritating me?
This is my fiance. And she's the person who lived with me at this place, not lived, but came and stayed at my place. Or not
So
our
it
place,
wasn't
excuse me.
only his girlfriend that stayed. Your
No.
girlfriend stayed too.
I'm sorry.
Just a second.
4 or 5 days a week.
So it wasn't only his girlfriend that stayed. It was your girlfriend that stayed.
My girlfriend would come there every other weekend and spend
So?
the weekend. Correct.
So she stayed. And if she didn't like living there because of the cold and the mold, she wouldn't have come. Okay. Right?
Right.
Should have gone to her house. By not stand there and kvetch, sir, that you didn't like the circumstances and you stayed anyway. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Gary Estes III says he was assaulted in his home by Ryland Oliver. Ryland says Gary swung at him first.
Mr. Estes, it is your claim that Mr. Oliver was an uninvited guest in your home and that he assaulted you in your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Oliver, although he acknowledges that there were blows exchanged, says that he struck you in self-defense. You actually hit him first. And it is his claim that he was invited, not by you, but by someone else to the house. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
19.
You go to college?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
Oklahoma City Community College.
Could you try to speak a little slower? I'm old.
Oklahoma City Community College.
You live at home?
Yes.
And you, sir?
I go to a community college in Cleburne, Hill College. I did go to University of Oklahoma until this happened.
Changed schools?
Yes.
Did you have an apartment?
I was renting a house from witness Mark's parents had a rent house, and we were renting it from them.
How many people lived there?
3.
Were you living there as well, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. What's your name?
Mark Williams.
Are you scared?
No. Kind of nervous. A little nervous. I'm sorry.
Step over here. I have a couple of questions. Mr. Williams, this is your parents' house?
Yes.
Who was the third roommate?
Christopher.
Do you know Mr. Oliver? Did you know him before this incident happened?
Yeah, I knew him from high school, just randomly, just because we went to the same high school, I knew of him.
But he wasn't your friend?
No.
So you didn't invite him to your house?
No.
What date did this incident happen?
May 22nd.
Did you invite him to the house, Mr. Estes?
No, ma'am.
Did you know him from before?
No, ma'am.
Now, this Christopher person, is that the person that you knew?
No, ma'am.
You didn't know Christopher either?
No.
So you didn't know any of the 3 people that lived in this house?
No, ma'am.
What brought you to the house?
My friend DJ was leaving for the Navy, and they were throwing him a going away party, and he called us and asked us to come by.
You know DJ?
Yes.
Was he having a party at your house?
No, ma'am.
How many people were in the house on the evening of the 22nd of May?
About 7. We each had a friend over.
Was DJ there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it was the 3 people who lived in the house, plus 4 guests?
Yes.
All guys?
It was Sarah, one of her friends.
That was a
and
girl.
That was a
Sarah
girl.
is definitely a girl.
Well, her friend is a girl.
What?
Her friend is a girl.
And DJ and us 3 that lived in the house.
Okay, so it was just a small gathering.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can sit down. Okay. So DJ said, come on over to say goodbye.
Yes. He said they were having a going away party for me, and he asked
Well,
us
this
to come
doesn't
over.
sound like much of a party. There were only 7 people there.
There was more than 7 people there. There were people in the front yard.
There were only 7 people in the house, according to them. Where had you been that evening, Mr. Oliver?
I was over at a friend's house there on campus.
Anybody drinking?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yes.
Who was driving?
Me.
How did I know that? How do you think?
I don't know, man.
You'll never know. So you were drinking and driving and went over to see your friend DJ, and what happened, sir?
When we were leaving the
Who's
party,
we?
my friend Ricky, and I had one more friend with me. I guess people overheard us and thought we were going to another party. So we had about 5 carloads of people following us, saying we were going to another party.
You had 5 carloads of people following you where?
They thought we were going to another party, man. We tried to tell them that we weren't, and they followed us anyway.
What time?
About 2:30 in the morning, man.
You got the picture here, sir, that I'm not happy with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay, well, when we got there, we were walking up to the door. Mark lets me and my friend Ricky and David in.
You had let 3 of them in, is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what happened, sir. Thought he just said that you let them in.
I opened the door. I was the first one to open the door, and I see there's 30 people outside that I don't know. And I see him and Ricky. They first come in. I never said they could come in. They just kind of pushed me aside and came in.
Okay.
And then they ran into him.
Now, where were the other 30 people that were outside?
Just out in my front yard. And I was like, I don't want these people here because my neighbors are going to call the cops, you know. They're making noise.
Right. 5 carloads of them.
Yeah.
So he ran into you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say?
I told him it was late. I didn't know who they were. There were 20 or 30 people out in our yard. We didn't want them here. They needed to leave. He tried to push me aside, and I tried to push him out of my house, and he dragged me outside, and
Just a second. Well, Mr. Oliver, when Mr. Estes told you to leave, why didn't you leave?
Man, Mr. Estes never told us to leave. When we got there, Mark let us in. He stops us in the hall, and he put his hands on my chest and asked, who are all these people?
Who were all these people?
Yeah, because they were still walking up.
You mean the other 30 of them?
I don't know if there was 30, ma'am.
5 cars. He said to you, who are all these people? And what did you say?
I said, ma'am, I don't know. They followed us here.
And what happened after you
Well,
said that?
when he put his hands on me, I pushed his hand down like that, and I asked him not to touch me because I didn't know him. And he looks at me crazy and tells me that, you know, he pays the MF and rent here, and grabbed me by my shirt like that and tried to push me into the door. And when he did that, I kind of put my weight forward, and when I did, he swung at me, and he hit me in the jaw. And I retaliated by hitting him twice. He falls forward on me, I'm on my back, and I try to get up. I push myself, and he's still got a hold of my shirt. So people are running over there kicking and hitting. I'm getting kicked, he's getting kicked. I can't get up, and then I finally get pulled to my feet from one of my friends. And then when I got to my feet, I saw Mark had a cast on his hand. I don't remember which hand it was. But he's pushing people back, and he swung it at my friend Ricky here. And Ricky blocked, and it hit him in his forearms with the cast. And then Ricky pushed him back, and pretty much got out of there after that. Because I didn't know those people. It was, I mean, it's a rich neighborhood. It's 2:30 in the morning, so we left. I didn't want to be involved with that situation.
Well, Mr. Oliver, if you didn't want to be involved with that situation, sir, why didn't you just go home?
Because my friend was
Instead of making trouble by stopping with 5 carloads of people that you don't know that have been out drinking all night because it's 2:30 in the morning and they're going to another party. Instead of being involved in creating a situation where none existed, Mr. Oliver, you created an incident. You had enough to drink, you were behind the wheel, you were taking a caravan over to someone's house that you didn't know in the rich part of town. You brought with you 5 carloads of drunken teenagers looking for another party. That's what you did. You created an incident because you're young and stupid. Mr. Oliver, they don't live in a rural area on 30 acres, do they? They live with houses right next door?
Yes.
With maybe people who are not 19 years old?
Yes.
30 in the morning?
Probably.
Maybe not interested in hearing you and your moronic friends? Probably.
Ma'am, when we got there, it was not 7 people there. They had people outside
Listen
drinking
to me,
in front of their
sir.
yard.
You brought over 5 carloads of people to a neighborhood where they didn't belong. And if you wanted to say goodbye to your friend, and if unfortunately 5 carloads of people, strangers, started to follow you, you go to the local police precinct and you say, these 5 carloads of people are following me. I don't want them to follow me. But you don't take them to an unsuspecting neighborhood unless you're an idiot. Can I see photographs, please? You have photographs for me?
No.
Was he arrested?
No.
Why not?
Because the police said that they felt that if we pressed charges, he'd retaliate. And
Can I see your police report, please?
And that's, the picture of me is proof that I didn't just get pushed when I was trying to break it up.
No, you got you were
I got
assaulted.
hit.
Mr. Oliver,
Yes, ma'am.
how many times were you arrested before?
Once.
When?
February 7th, I believe.
Of this year?
Yes.
For what?
Possession of marijuana and speeding.
So at that point, you were arrested for using an illegal drug and driving, right?
No, I got arrested for possession, ma'am.
Well,
I never got arrested
either
for
you were
influence.
using or selling. I mean,
Neither.
you weren't decorating your house with it, right? Either you were using or selling.
I was using, ma'am, but I was.
Well, that's the answer. Can I see your unreimbursed medical bills, please? Anything you want to say to me?
No, ma'am.
Good idea. You're a fast learn. You have any idea how many people were hitting you?
4 or 5, at least, were kicking me.
And the 4 or 5 that were hitting you and or kicking you, because you have serious lacerations in your head, were those the people that came in this caravan of 5 cars?
I'm
They weren't
assuming.
your guests.
No, they weren't. And I still have shoulder rehab I have to go through. I may have to have surgery on it.
There are consequences to your actions. One of the consequences to your actions is having to listen to me. I'm telling you that your actions caused him serious physical injury and a lot of pain and suffering, because I've seen the photographs. Have you seen them?
Nope.
Would you like to see them?
Not really.
It's mature. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Brittany Lawler claims ex-boyfriend Nathan Fletcher broke their apartment lease. Nathan says Brittany kicked him out after he spanked her son.
Miss Lawler, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together, signed a 1-year lease in an apartment. You moved in, there were 3 of you. You, the defendant, and you have a child who's 6. You lived together and everything was pretty okay for a while, and then there was an incident involving your son. And the incident involving your son surrounded an eating tantrum that he had. And according to Mr. Fletcher, he threw a tantrum and Mr. Fletcher spanked him. After that, the 2 of you separated, never got back together again. Mr. Fletcher did pay the rent for a couple of months and then stopped. You want him to pay the last 3 or 4 months' rent because he signed the lease with you. Mr. Fletcher says that he really anticipated that you would be back together again, that you told him to leave, and that he's not going to pay any rent since you asked him to leave. And not only asked him to leave, you told him to leave. I believe in your answer, Mr. Fletcher, you say that her parents gave her an ultimatum. Either you left or they were taking her son.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what happened?
No.
Well, we'll find out. If they did say that, it probably would have been the right thing to do. Mr. Fletcher.
Yes, ma'am.
There are certain given facts in this case. You signed the joint lease, which obligated you to pay half the rent. You did not pay half the rent for how many months? 3?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes.
3 months. But for the other 7 months, you did. And what was your share of the rent?
$745 a month.
And yours was $745?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you living now?
I'm still living there. The lease is not up yet, and I'm moving back in with my parents.
Who's paying the rent now?
I am.
From what?
I had to borrow money. I had to take out a personal loan with the bank in order to cover the rent.
Do you work?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Fletcher, tell me when you spanked her son.
It was evening of the 8th, Monday. Had cooked some dinner for him. Huh?
8th of what?
January. He was eating dinner, and all of a sudden he just started having a little tantrum, and I told him to stop, spitting food all over the carpet, told him to go to his room, wouldn't comply, so I spanked him.
Why don't you just pick him up and put him in his room?
Didn't think about it.
How old is he?
He was 5 at the time.
Where did you spank him?
On his bottom.
What'd you use?
Back of my hand.
How many times did you hit him?
I hit him once.
Once?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
I wasn't there. I'd have to take his word or my son's word. So.
Well, you don't have to take his word. What did your son say?
My son said that he had hit him very hard, so he was upset.
Is there any mark on him?
There was a little mark, yes.
You told your parents?
Yes.
And what happened?
When I saw it, I asked him, I said, you know what, you can't stay right now. This is not going to be a good situation. I don't know what's going to happen. I asked him to leave temporarily while he maybe did some parenting classes, maybe anger management or something to help cool things down and maybe fix the situation so that we could stay together.
So what do you want him to do?
want him to fulfill his obligation and continue to pay the rest of the rent.
But
As
he can't
should.
live there, Miss Lawler.
He can't live there because of his own behavior, because of his own actions.
I mean, I don't think if he hit, I'm not advocating Mr. Fletcher using corporal punishment on your child. Let's start with that. However, since you left him with your son in a position of parenting authority, there's a difference between corporal punishment and excessive corporal punishment. If Mr. Fletcher says he hit him once on the behind, and you have no reason to dispute that, and if you told him to leave as a result of that, and he did not have the ability to stay in the apartment because of that, he shouldn't have to pay the rent.
He signed a lease, and because of his actions...
You move.
And how am I going to move with my son when everything in that apartment was mine?
Listen to me, Miss Lawler. That's a choice that you have. Instead of telling him to leave, say, listen, we have the following choices. We're both on this lease. I can't afford the rent because I'm not working. I'm going to move back with my parents. You can stay in the apartment. Or if I stay in the apartment, we have to do something with the lease. But you told him to leave.
It's temporary.
No.
Yes, it doesn't.
No, you gave him... No.
No.
My dear, temporary.
He left some of his stuff in the apartment, so he knew it was not permanent. I told him, you get some parenting classes, you do some counseling,
that
and you
has
can
nothing
come
to
back
do
in.
with the lease.
Yes, it does. It has everything to do with
Miss
the
Lawler,
lease.
has nothing to do with the lease, madam. He didn't sign a lease and sign on to take on parenting classes or anger management classes. That wasn't a condition of his
sign a
lease.
lease that he would fulfill his obligation to pay his rent for the entire year. It doesn't matter what happened. He has an obligation to finish paying the rent.
That's why you're here. He did, in fact, pay 2 months' rent when he wasn't living there.
Yes, because he said he would continue to pay the rent because it was his obligation.
And I'm telling you that you told him to leave.
I asked him to leave temporarily until the situation calmed down. Am I supposed to put my son and me in some
When
situation
is your lease? When
where
is
we're
your
not
lease?
comfortable?
Listen to me. When is your lease up?
My lease is up in the end of this month.
Well, you should have come to court earlier. I would have told you to go back to your parents earlier and told him to move back into the apartment.
What I have done? He can't pay the rent. We would have both still been on the lease, and we both still would be...
Miss Lawler, that's a what if. And what I'm telling you is the lease is up in 20 days. Instead of waiting 20 days, you should have sued him before. You should have gone in the first month that he said, I'm not paying any more rent.
I couldn't, because I have to go back every month.
And then I would have said to you, Miss Lawler, go home to your parents now. Mr. Fletcher, you go back to the apartment and continue to pay the rent.
He couldn't pay the rent by himself. Either way, if he had stayed or I had stayed, it doesn't matter. We would still be in the same situation.
Miss Lawler, right now, he paid rent for 2 months in an apartment where he was not living. When he was not living, you threw him. Don't you get it?
I did not throw him out. I asked him to temporarily leave. That's not...
When did you invite him back?
I wouldn't invite him back had he not...
Just answer my question.
If you would let
When
me.
did you invite him? You said, I asked him to leave temporarily. When did you invite him back? On what date?
I told him he could come back when he took some counseling.
He doesn't have to do that,
Well,
madam.
then he doesn't have to continue the relationship with me. That was the circumstances. He knew that when he moved out, that he needed to get some help to continue the relationship so that he can move back in. It was not just the spanking of my son that started this. He has been unstable and yelling, screaming, accusing me of cheating. Every other week,
That's
he
a
would
whole other... Then you should have gone home to your parents earlier, Miss Lawler. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Tony Paternitti claims Jason Schnell vandalized his place of business when he recklessly drove a vehicle onto the property.
Mr. Paternitti, according to your complaint, it is your belief and your claim that the defendant caused substantial damage to buildings of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
With his vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell says he didn't do it. So, first, when was the damage to your buildings?
December 6th of last year, Your Honor.
What kind of buildings were there?
It was a fenced-in area where I keep some construction material and a metal building, a steel building. I drew a diagram, if I could show you that.
First, I'd like to see the damage done to the buildings. You have photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
There wasn't a tornado in your area, was there?
Not at that time, Your Honor.
No. And when you left, you said it was December of '06. What date in December?
December 6th.
On the 5th, were you at the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Building's okay?
It was fine when I left around 6 p.m.
Fence was okay?
Yes, everything was okay. No tornadoes that night.
So now I see the damage. How much in dollars was the damage that was
I estimated
caused?
around $4,600, Your Honor.
How do you get to that estimate, Mr. Pettigrew?
I'm a licensed contractor. I brought a copy of my contractor's license, and I actually believe I estimated it low since I can do most of the work myself.
You have to replace the fence in the shed?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to try to explain to me, since I gather from your papers you did not see Mr. Schnell.
That's correct.
Cause this damage. What evidence do you have that he caused the damage?
Well, Your Honor, can I show you at first what I thought happened to the property?
No, don't tell me what you thought. I'm not interested in what you thought.
Okay, the reason I think it was Mr. Snell is when he hit the concrete sidewalk here, he blew out a tire, left gouge marks on the concrete, knocked down all of this, and there was gouge marks all along the property, and we followed the gouge marks down here, and I could actually see where the gouge marks on the road on
You mean the gouge marks on the road from being driven on the tire rim?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Got it.
He turned up, I could see where they crossed the street and turned up 90th Avenue. At the time I was looking, a friend of mine and his son came down.
It's hearsay.
Okay. Well, I think that's a key evidence, Your Honor, that someone told
Well,
us.
I don't care if it's key evidence or not, sir. That's hearsay. What somebody else told you, an out-of-court statement, is not admissible in court for the truth of that statement. So right now, you're following the gouge marks.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, at that point, the police went up this street. I didn't go.
You did not go with them?
No, I didn't. They went past this house, down here where they found Mr. Schnell's vehicle.
Just a second. Only if you have a police report that indicates that.
I do have a police report,
I'd like
Your
to
Honor.
take a look at that. Police observe in their report that the damage appears to have been done by somebody doing donuts on the property with their car and lost control and struck the concrete pad, causing the right front tire to blow out, which caused damage to the rim. And then the writer observed pieces of the rim on the concrete pad. The writer observed gouge marks on the concrete from the broken rim. Then it ran into a chain-link fence. Writer recovered various pieces from the rim and also the passenger's side mirror and what appeared to be a fog lamp. Then the police found the defendant's car, Mr. Schnell. That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up on your own 2 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And found that the mirror that was located at the location matched that of the subject vehicle. Coincidence.
Big coincidence, Your
Speak
Honor.
not!
Yes, ma'am.
And the writer, that would be the police, also observed that pieces of the rim that were found at the incident location also matched that of the subject's vehicle. That would be you.
My turn?
Look at me. Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. I
I don't want you to look down at anything.
Oh, no. I was just grabbing the pictures. I have evidence also. There's no way that my Jeep could have done that damage to his property, ma'am.
What kind of car do you... Put it down. What kind of car do you have?
98 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
How much did you pay for it?
About $5,000.
Did you take good care of the car?
Oh, no, ma'am, I did not.
So you acted irresponsibly towards the car.
Oh, I did.
Where did you
Yes,
get the $5,000 from to buy the car?
I just,
Don't look over there.
Yes, ma'am. I just gotten off a deployment, ma'am, from Iraq, so I had a lot of money in the bank.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, about a day prior to the incident, ma'am, I had totaled my Jeep. I was driving along the road. I was speeding like...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Day before,
Yes, ma'am.
you totaled the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you did that.
My tire...
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. My tire blew out, and I went
Which tire?
My right front tire, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out.
Yes, ma'am.
How did it blow out, Mr. Schnell?
I don't know how it blew out, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out, and?
I went crashing into trees. I got pictures here that shows the trees that I crashed into.
I'd like to take
shows
a
the
look.
brake marks.
I'd like to take a look at the tree you crashed into.
Yes, ma'am.
And that wasn't anywhere near his building, was it?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Good.
You look at the pictures, you won't see a building around it.
And I want to see the car.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
took pictures
Yes, ma'am.
of the tree. Very nice. And now I want to see a picture of the car. Totaled undrivable?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It was completely undrivable.
Completely.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it would start, ma'am, but...
Don't speak. I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went into a tree. How far away from where you live?
A couple miles, ma'am. About 2 or 3.
Would it be anywhere in this area that's on the bottom?
I can show you on the map, ma'am.
Sure.
It would be out this way if the map extended further.
Okay, good. So it would be all the way over there.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did the car get back to your house?
I rode it home on the rim, ma'am.
I thought you told me that it was not drivable, sir.
It was...
Listen to me. You just told me a moment ago, Mr. Schnell,
Yes, ma'am.
that the car was not drivable.
Not safely drivable anyway, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell, this is not going to go well for you, sir. For you to drive it home.
Well,
on the
limped at
rip.
home's more like it, ma'am.
No. You either call the police.
The way I figured it is if I called the police and I filled out an accident report and everything and go back to my insurance company, and most of those damages on there, I can just get the parts from a junkyard or something and fix it cheaper
Now, one
than
of the things
deductible
that
would be.
was damaged on your car, sir, is a side view mirror that's missing.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not...
Just a sec. I'm speaking. A side view... So far, does it look as if I need your help?
I have some other pictures I want to show you, Your Honor.
I'm not finished with him yet. So far we have a right front tire
Yes, ma'am.
that matches the right front tire at his place of business, and a side view mirror also found at his place of business, also missing from your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Coincidence.
I'm
I'm
not-
speaking coincidence. Either it's a coincidence or it's on purpose.
It's coincidence, ma'am.
Coincidence.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have a fog lamp
Yes, ma'am.
also missing from your car.
I'm not...
No.
disputing that my car was crashed, ma'am.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am. Also missing.
That the police found on his property.
Yes, ma'am. Also, if you'll look at that picture, though, ma'am, did they find my bumper on his property?
Just a second.
Did
Let
they
me,
find
let me,
anything
let
else
me
that was
explain
missing from the
something
car,
to you,
ma'am?
sir. I don't answer your question.
Yes, ma'am.
That is not my job.
Yes, ma'am.
At what rank did you leave the military?
Lance Corporal, ma'am.
What was a step above Lance Corporal?
Corporal.
Corporal. And above that?
Sergeant.
Did you speak back to your sergeant?
I did
Not
when
if
I
you
was right,
wanted to
ma'am.
live, right?
I did when I was right, ma'am.
Well, maybe that's why you chose not to make the Army a career.
Marine Corps, ma'am.
So now we have the coincidence of right front tire, side view mirror, and fog lamp, all retrieved at his place of business after the police, according to this, followed the rim marks back to your house.
There is no way that I could have drove that car that night because the tire was already blown out.
That's if I believe that you went into a tree the day before. That's if I believe that, sir. You're starting out with a premise that is not necessarily true.
I have a witness that can say for sure that my Jeep was wrecked on the night in question.
You mean that's him?
Yes, ma'am.
If I were to call you up here, would you tell me that the Jeep was wrecked the day before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, right. Now, when you got home, just for my own curiosity, when you got home on the 5th after you wrecked this vehicle and you live with your... Look at me. With him? I'm asking you a question.
Oh, me, ma'am? I thought you were talking to him again.
No,
Sorry about
my
that.
eyes look at the person I'm talking to.
Yes, ma'am. No, I live at home, ma'am, with my family.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am.
Mother and father?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide the police with your mother and father's names so that they could confirm this story that you told about your car being damaged the day before? The answer is either yes or... Now I'll see your pictures.
Thank you. These are actual police photographs, Your Honor, when the police went to his house. And these photos are still in evidence that show the fog lamp in question and the mirror and some parts for the rim.
I'd like to see
that the police matched to the vehicle, and I've also found more pieces on my property since I've been doing the cleanup.
Okay, just a second. So the mirror that was found, which is primarily what I'm looking at, the paint is the same color as his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's see what else we have. So we have
you
right
can see-
front tire, side view mirror, the same color as the side view mirror would have been from his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
All found on your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do now, Mr. Schnell?
I'm unemployed, ma'am,
How long have you been unemployed?
since end of November.
Why?
Unemployment pays better than Walmart.
So your parents just let you sort of hang around after you... When did you come out of the service?
My EAS was November 26th.
Of '06?
Yes, ma'am.
So you stayed home December, January, February. At this point, it's time for you to get into gear, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
First, you pay him the money that you owe him, $4,600. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Gina Guy says ex-boyfriend Richard Archer owes for a loan to have emergency dental work done. Richard says Gina gave him the money.
Miss Guy, Mr. Archer was a boyfriend of yours, and you claimed that you made a loan to him for some dental work. He did not repay the loan, and in addition, when you tried to collect after you had terminated the relationship, he began harassing you. He says that the money that you gave him for his dental work was a gift. There was never any discussion of him repaying the money for the dental work, and that you are actually harassing him. Mr. Archer, when did you and Miss Guy start a relationship?
We started a relationship towards late during the summer, probably around August.
September 12th, Your Honor.
Is that what it was, September 12th?
Of what?
September 12th of 2008.
Did you at any time during that relationship live together?
No.
When was it, Mr. Archer, that you found yourself in need of dental work?
Actually, we were in the pool one day, Your Honor.
In the pool?
Yeah, in her swimming pool. And she brought up that she was going to go in and have some dental work done and get some cleaning done. And she was scheduling appointments for her daughter. And I said, well, yeah, that's something I got to get done when I have the money, when I'm financially capable of having it done. And she says, well, I really got a good dental plan down the street here. Why don't we get you in? And I said, well, I don't have the money to do this right now. So, right now wouldn't be a good time. A few weeks went by. She kept encouraging me to go in there. So finally I went in there.
What did you go in for?
Basically just x-rays and a cleaning. And it turned out that I needed a root canal and some fillings as well.
Did you have any pain, Mr. Archer?
No, I didn't have any pain at the time.
How did you know that you had problems that required a root canal?
I didn't know that I needed a root canal until they started getting in there and digging in my mouth. So they seen that on the x-rays, they seen that I needed a root canal. And then that's when it was brought to our attention, the total amount, which was $1,717.
So first the dentist took the x-rays.
Correct.
And I should tell you, Mr. Archer, so that you don't feel as if you've been coerced or fooled.
Okay.
Both my father and my brother are dentists.
Okay.
So first they took x-rays.
Okay, yes.
And after the x-rays were taken, you had a consultation?
I had a consultation.
With whom?
With the dentist.
Who was present during the consultation?
Present in the consultation was me and the dentist and the RDA, and then they had notified her.
Don't tell me who they notified.
Okay.
All I asked you was who was present during the consultation.
Just the dentist and the RDA.
They told you that the bill was $1,717.
Correct. That's the work we were looking at.
And what was the next thing that you did?
The next thing I did was just said stop right there, and they notified her. That
Don't tell me what they notified. That's hearsay.
I said stop right there, Your Honor.
And did you leave?
No, I didn't. I stayed in the chair. And
what did you stay in the chair for?
I stayed in the chair so they could contact her and let her know.
Who told them to contact her? It's not an answer.
She did.
She told them to contact her after your x-rays?
Doesn't look like I'm getting any water.
Is that what you think? Yeah, well, you usually don't need water right away.
No, just my mouth is dry.
Would you get Mr. Archer? Maybe there's water in that carafe. He seems not to have any water.
No,
There
Judge Judy,
include
she told me to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Okay?
It's all in the roost.
Thank you.
Thank you. So she told you to call her and let her know what the bill was going to be. Did you call her?
Yes.
You just told me that they called her.
And they called her too as well.
No. When did you call her?
Right there, right after they called her.
Well, why wouldn't you call her?
Well, actually, because I had a bunch of cotton in my mouth at the time.
Well, you had just had a consultation with them.
Well, yeah, they just came in and the cotton was still in my mouth and they were just explaining to me on the computer.
Cotton was still in your mouth from what?
From them lodging things in there. My gums were bleeding.
No, they just took x-rays.
Yeah, because they had the x-ray pieces in my mouth in there and it disrupted some of my gums.
No, they must have been a lousy dentist.
Actually, a really good dentist.
Absolutely not. I never had bleeding gums from taking x-rays.
Okay.
You ever have bleeding gums from taking an x-ray?
No.
Taking x-ray? No. Doesn't happen. Mr. Archer, you are so full of baloney. Now that we've finished Once Upon a Time,
thank you,
and the Three Bears and Goldilocks, how come you got involved with his dental work?
Because he was in the chair and was having the trouble that he had.
What trouble was he having?
Well,
so far I haven't heard any. Listen to me, Miss Guy. So far I haven't heard any trouble. So far I heard that he was in no pain, he had no money, and he went to the dentist. And they did x-rays, and they were going to do a cleaning, and they found that he needed all this dental work, but he was in no pain. So I want you to tell me, is that what happened?
I can only testify when I came into the scene. He sent me a text message from the chair stating, they've got my mouth open, they said it's an emergency, I have an abscess. That's why he went in, because he was in pain in his mouth.
That's what you said in your complaint.
I did. That's why I'm saying that was what happened.
So he had pain.
Exactly. So
when did he tell you he had pain? For the first time?
For the first time, when I don't, when we were dating, at some point he said, I'm having a lot of pain in my mouth. So he made an appointment to follow through on the pain that he was having in his mouth.
You suggested your dentist?
I suggested my dentist. I had a dentist. My house is across the street from where my girls and I have our own plan. I'm a single mom. I can't put people on my plan. So that's where my girls and I go.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Guy?
I own a fitness ministry, Praise Aerobics.
And what do you do, Mr. Archer?
I'm a master physical trainer.
Do you work in her place? Is that how you met?
At the time, I was helping her, yes.
When was the last time you worked for Miss Guy? It's not an answer, Mr.
2 weeks
Archer.
before December.
He never worked for me, just so I can state that.
Oh,
he was
no,
never an
but I
employee.
did.
Not work for me. He was not a paid employee, no.
That's not true.
Do you get a check from her or cash?
Actually, at the time, you know, I was doing a lot of things for her. And
Like
she
what?
Well, I was teaching her spine elongation techniques and helping her with her back because she has a spine injury. And I was teaching yoga and stretching classes for her clients as well.
For her clients in her establishment?
Correct.
And you were compensated for that?
No, I didn't ask for anything, okay? She was helping me out with my mouth, and I also did other things as well for her, you know.
Like what?
There was gym equipment inside her facility that needed to be tore down and repositioned and corrected, and there were multiple stations, and I did that.
And are you telling me, sir, you told me once before that you worked for her. Work for her usually involves some financial remuneration.
Okay.
Are you telling me that you were not compensated for what you did?
No, not cash-wise, no.
Okay. Now, how long did you do all this work? Months, weeks?
It was during the relationship.
And how long did that last?
4 months.
When did you go to the dentist?
I probably went to the dentist in the second month of our relationship.
What month did he go to the dentist?
October 2nd, Your Honor.
And you put the money on your credit card when he called you and said he had an abscess? Is that what happened?
Correct.
So, Mr. Archer.
Yes.
What you are asking me to believe is, as an old jurist
Okay.
and a dentist's daughter,
Okay.
that it was sheer serendipity that you went for x-rays
Okay.
and they found an acute abscess that
Yes.
required root canal on the spot and a post and crown. Just a second. I'm
Okay.
just asking.
Okay,
That
I'm sorry.
requires
Go
a
ahead.
yes, it was pure serendipity,
Okay.
or no, I was in a little bit of pain, and we may have discussed that I was in a little bit of pain.
Okay.
Which one would you like me to believe?
I went to do a checkup to see what was causing the pain.
Ah, there we have it. That makes my job so much easier because it was not the baloney story you gave me before. You know, when we air this segment,
Okay.
Mr. Archer, you're going to have to watch what you told me before.
Okay.
Because, you see, you are a prime example of if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Okay.
But if you don't tell the truth, you really have to have a good memory, sir, because otherwise I make you look like an idiot. How much
okay.
does he owe you?
The dental bill's $2,000, but I'm definitely suing for more than that.
I
believe
gave her $500
You gave her $500 for what?
on top of the dental bill.
What do you mean you gave her $500 on top of the dental bill?
I thought it was a gift.
2 weeks later, I gave her $500 a gift. Yeah, right.
Just a minute. Hold on a second. 2 weeks later, you gave her $500 for what?
The bill
But don't look at me. Don't point your finger at me. 2 weeks. I'm looking at your answer.
Okay.
I don't see anything in your answer about $500.
No, but I
so
did. But I did give it to her.
For what?
For the bill, to help her out, just like I was helping her out around the house as well, with her business.
Like crazy.
So I dropped it to $1,200, and now she's lying about it.
Hey, listen. If you were honest with me to begin with and said to me, look, it was a loan, but I gave her $500. I don't owe her. Uncross your hands. Uncross your hands. I don't owe her $1,700. I gave her $500. Then we would be in business. You have given me 3 distinct stories. One you wrote in your answer. One you told me just a moment ago when I was about to enter a judgment for. But I gave her $500 for what? As a gift? You gave her $500 as a gift? You gave her $500 towards the dental bill because you owed her money for the dental bill. That's
I
why
didn't
you
borrow
gave.
the money from
That's
her, though.
why you gave her money for the dental bill.
But I didn't borrow the
Just
money
because
from
I
her.
hate liars. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Step out.
Stacy Levine says ex-boyfriend Rory Rodriguez owes for a cell phone bill and the cost of a plane ticket. Rory claims Stacy knew he wouldn't be able to pay her back.
Miss Levine, this used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you for a plane ticket and for a cell phone bill.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez says the cell phone was your idea in order to keep in touch with him, and he never used the plane ticket.
Yes.
How long did this romance go on? For how many months?
About 8 months.
And when did you get involved with his cell phone business?
In July of '06.
How long had you known him?
7 months.
So you got involved in his cell phone business a month before you broke up?
Correct.
Tell me how that came about.
He had been complaining he had wanted a new phone, and he was on his father's plan. His father would not allow him to get a new phone, and we had discussed getting him a new phone with a different carrier so that we could talk with free minutes. Also, we had a verbal agreement that if I bought him a new phone, he would pay me back as soon as he got his check that month in July.
Where were you working?
I was a nanny. I was working as a nanny.
And what was he doing?
Nothing.
Well, when was he supposed to pay you for the cell phone?
Well, he said he was getting another check in July from the school district.
What kind of work does he do for the school district?
He was a campus supervisor.
When was the bill that you claim he owes you? Was it a bill or was it the actual cell phone that
There's
he owes you?
I paid for the cell phone in July, and then there was also a bill that has accrued since we started the phone.
How much was the phone itself?
$229.30.
And how much was the bill?
The bill now is $724.38.
For how many months?
That was the last statement I got was in March of this last year.
Why didn't you just cut off the phone?
I did end up shutting off the phone. That was after he racked up all of the charges. He had promised to pay the bill every month. I had set up the bill to go to his address. His name was on it as well. My name was just used for credit purposes. So he got the statement every single month in the mail to his address, and he told me he was paying it.
You mean after you broke up?
Yes. Well, when I set up the phone in July, he
said he would pay it, but this $724 isn't for 1 month
No.
or 2 months. And according to you, you broke up in August.
We did break up in August, and I paid the first bill in September. And then
You did? Why?
Because he had called me. I was out of town. He called me and told me he needed the bill paid, and I didn't want it to go into collections at that time, so I did pay it over the phone.
And what about the next month's bill?
He told me he paid it. I was on the phone with Verizon. He said I sent a check.
Let's talk about the cell phone. Get the plane ticket in a second. Talk.
She knew that I was out of work. Working for the school district, it's a 10.5-month job.
Well, then that's what you do for a living. You work for a school district that's a 10.5-month job.
Right. And she was well aware.
Don't tell me what she was aware of, sir. I want to hear your explanation of needing a new telephone.
I did not need a new telephone. I was perfectly fine with the one that I had underneath my father's plan.
Okay.
The only reason that she wanted me to have the cell phone was so that we could talk for free and we could text message for free.
Okay, so as one of your famous, fabulous 5 friends? Or whatever
Something
that is?
along those lines, yeah.
I don't do that. I don't have 5 people that I want to speak to that often. Let's discount the phone for a second, Mr. Rodriguez. What about your cell phone bill? Why didn't you pay that?
She
what?
I had no money. I was out of work. I wasn't out of work, but I wasn't working.
Well, get a job, sir.
I had a job.
Then don't talk on a cell phone.
We broke up in August, and after August, the phone was never used.
Oh, show me. Can I see a bill if that's true? If it's after August, is that what you're telling me?
The phone, once we broke up, the phone was...
That's the bill.
No, all I want to know is, you're saying to me, once you broke up in August, the phone was never used.
Correct.
He did not rack up $500 in a month.
Oh, no. I need the bills from September, October, November. This doesn't tell me anything, madam.
It says what the charges are.
For what month?
For all of them. The phone wasn't shut off until December.
I understand that the phone wasn't shut off until December, but there's a factual dispute. If he says that he did not use the phone after you broke up, then some credence to his story that you decided to get this phone so that the two of you could either chat or text message each other for nothing. One phone bill doesn't do it for me. Do you understand?
I understand that, yes.
Do you have the others with you?
I do not have any other phone bills with me.
Here, give this back to her for now.
That was the only way I was able to get a hold of him was his cell phone. So I did talk to him on the cell phone.
That's not my statement to you, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fine. So, since you didn't bring that with you, I'm going to dismiss the cell phone portion of your claim without prejudice. You can certainly sue him for that amount of money when you have the appropriate documents to back up your story. You don't have them today. Now let's get to the plane ticket. When was the plane ticket purchased?
July of '06.
July what?
I believe it was the 14th.
And when did you officially break up with him?
The last week of August.
When was this trip supposed to take place?
We were supposed to leave September 1st, and we broke up the very week before.
9/1. And where were you going?
We were going to Pennsylvania and Cleveland.
For what?
Pennsylvania to visit family, Cleveland to the Cleveland Clinic, and then to the Canton to the Football Hall of Fame.
When did you purchase the ticket?
July 14th of '06.
Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the date was.
Well, I'm sure she has documents showing when she purchased the ticket and when you were supposed to leave.
I've never had, in my possession, I've never had the ticket, so I
It
don't
doesn't
know
make any
when she
difference,
bought
sir.
it.
Because what I found interesting was you said that the reason you were going to Pennsylvania is to attend her grandfather's funeral. That's what you say. And I said to myself, well, how do you plan for something like that 2-3 weeks in advance? You know,
No.
I don't know whether her grandfather is alive or not, but you don't...
Her grandfather did pass away.
Yes.
On the trip that we were supposed to go to, her grandfather did pass away.
But he did not pass away.
Shh. I have no idea what you just said to me.
Her grandfather passed away on the trip that we were that we were supposed to go to.
But you hadn't planned on going there for his funeral unless he had some sort of premonition that he was going, sir.
We did though, ma'am. It was something that was known for a while that
he was going to die while you were there?
Not while we were there, but
you know,
that he was
sound
close.
ridiculous. You know, you sound ridiculous. You mean she wanted to go visit her grandfather because he was sick?
Right.
That's not what you said here. You said that you planned to go to Pennsylvania to attend her grandfather's funeral.
Right.
He's not too swift. Okay, tell me about the plane ticket.
We were going to go visit family in Pennsylvania and then move on to Cleveland. He was going to accompany me and my mother. My mother actually purchased the tickets and spoke with Rory on the phone. And
Perfect. Can you step up? Your last name is?
Randall.
Miss Randall, tell me about the conversation you had with Mr. Rodriguez about this plane ticket.
On the day that we were purchasing the tickets, I spoke with him on the phone, and he told me he would reimburse Stacy for the airfare. And at the same time, we opened up the airline's frequent flyer mileage account for him, set that up, and it was my clear understanding from him during that conversation.
I don't want to hear your clear understanding.
Sorry.
I want to hear what he said to you.
He said he would reimburse Stacy for the cost of the airline ticket.
And then what happened? Thank you.
We broke up.
Yes.
And there was no reason for me to go on a trip with him if we weren't together.
Absolutely right, sir.
And at the same time as
was the ticket refundable?
It was non-refundable. I tried transferring it into my name so that I could use it. I was not able to do that. I told him that as soon as I knew that. I said, here's the ticket. You know, you can use it for up to a year later. Did not give it to him because he had not paid for it. And he still has until July 14th of this year to use it.
Did you have that discussion with him?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember that discussion when she said it's non-transferable, but you can use it for up to a year?
Yes.
Well, then you have to pay for it.
When we had talked originally about buying this ticket, I told her, just as a cell phone, I did not have money because
I believe her mother that her mother had the discussion with you, sir.
And I
believe her mother. I do not believe you that you didn't have that discussion with her mother.
I'm not saying that I didn't have the discussion with her mother, but what I'm saying is that I was out of work.
I don't care whether you were out of work.
And I let them know that I couldn't pay them immediately.
That's a different story. The word is immediately. Sir, you
And
you don't intend to be unemployed forever.
When we had broken up, so there was no reason for me to even go on a trip with them.
Of course not, sir, but the ticket is non-refundable. I want you to try to expand your brain a little bit, Mr. Rodriguez. The fact that you broke up and you had non-refundable ticket, let's say instead of going to Pennsylvania, you were going with her to Cancun, Mexico, and you purchased 2 non-refundable tickets. She put it on her credit card. You broke up. There's no question. You said, listen, we're not going on this trip. She's not going to go alone. I'm not going to go alone. But the airline says to you, and they say to you, listen, if you can't back, but you can reschedule within the next 6 months. She put it on her credit card. Do you think you're responsible to pay her for those tickets?
No.
You're wrong. You are. You have an opportunity to use the tickets, but you can't say, I'm not going to touch those tickets. You promised the mother that you were going to pay her back for the tickets. You had an opportunity to use them for a year. You should have used them. And I suggest you get your behind into gear because you still have a couple of days to use them. Figure out where you want to go. If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, that's a great place to go for a weekend. How much were the tickets?
$331.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $331. With regard to the cell phone bill, you bring the right proof. Either I'll entertain your application or another court of competent jurisdiction will do that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Eve Dettenheim is suing her sister, Carol Dettenheim, for damaging her car when she ran into a deer. Carol says she offered her sister a portion of the deer meat as payment.
Ms. Dettenheim, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, she took your car, your neighbors?
Yes.
She took your car, you say without permission, had an accident, you want her to pay for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Your sister says she really had your permission because she used to borrow the car all the time. You left the back door open, she grabbed the keys, she needed some diapers or something, she wanted to go to the store. There was an accident, it was unavoidable, she hit a deer, damaged the car, and her defense is you should have had better insurance. Is that your defense?
I thought she had full coverage.
What made you think that?
I just didn't think.
You didn't think? Who do you rely on to do your thinking?
I just used it all the time, and she wasn't home, so I went over there to get the key and went, and the deer just jumped out in front of me.
Was the deer hurt?
Oh, it died.
Did you wait for somebody to come and take the carcass away?
No, I put pine straw over it and took the antler and went and got it later.
Went and got what later?
The deer.
What'd you do with it?
Ate it.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am, and she even offered me some, but I'm not having rigor mortis stew. I know.
It did not have rigor mortis, so I went back.
That is just sick.
Can I see pictures of your car, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you live, Miss Dettenheim?
Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana?
Hainesville.
How long have you and your sister been neighbors?
For 1 year.
Who moved close to whom?
She moved close to me.
You have an estimate to fix this car?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Are you angry with your sister?
A little bit. I feel like she needs to own up to the responsibility that she did damage my car and make what is wrong right.
So, what do you think?
Well, that night when I told her about the wreck, I thought it was just a headlight. And, you know, we talked about it and looked at everything. But then the next morning, she come over there just hollering at me, banging on my door, telling me how I owed her and all this. And I've helped her with a lot of stuff in the past and has made my life. I had to move because, I mean, I still have the house, but I can't stay with her. She'll do stuff like rev up her engine in the morning, trying to wake up my son and stuff, trying to make my life hard, and it's become an issue. It's like the Hatfield McCoys or something, so.
Do you work?
No, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
My boyfriend.
Does he live with you?
Well, I'm staying with him now, just because she's hard to be next to.
Well, when's the last time you were employed?
I'm a student right now. It's been almost a year I've been a stay-at-home mom.
A student of what?
I'm going to be a bail bondsman.
And how often do you go to school for that?
Right now, it's just a little course right now.
So why don't you work?
Because...
Well, you have to because you owe your sister $1,300.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have to owe $1,300.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
Go back to Louisiana and be happy.
Lori Torres is suing her ex-husband, Eric Bush, for the balance on an Isuzu rodeo. Lori says Eric is trying to pull a fast one.
Miss Torres, this gentleman used to be your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was your husband for a relatively short period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your husband decided that since you had resolved all of the financial issues, there were very limited financial issues, that you got one of those quick divorces. You got in a little kit that you bought in a stationery store, 1, 2, 3, $50 in and out.
Yes,
over.
ma'am.
But this was the problem. When you separated, according to what I've read in your complaint, there were 2 cars.
Yes.
The 2 of you decided that he would keep the automobile that was titled in your name.
Yes, ma'am.
There was still a loan outstanding on that automobile, and Mr. Bush agreed that he would take full responsibility for that car by taking care of the payments on the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And taking care of the insurance on the car. Generally taking care of everything on the car. It was your car, but it was still in her name because you had lousy credit. So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had the car for 6 or 7 months.
Yes.
So you had one car, she had the other. A car that you were driving was now your car, although it was in her name, was stolen.
Yes, ma'am.
When was it stolen?
Around March, end of March.
And in what month did you start driving the car exclusively? What month did you separate and take that car?
October, November.
That's 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
In the time that you had the car, did your former wife drive the car?
No, ma'am.
When you were living together, did you have insurance on both cars?
Yes, ma'am.
When you took this car, did you get a separate policy of insurance?
No, ma'am.
How did you deal with it?
We both had both vehicles on the same policy.
Who paid the bill?
We split it. She paid what her car was, I paid mine.
So it all worked out beautifully?
Yes.
Until the car got stolen?
Yes.
And there was a deficit that was owed on the car to the loan company.
Yes.
Mr. Bush, you say that there was a $4,000 deficit. You wrote out a check for $2,000, and you said to Ms. Torres, I paid enough. Rest is yours.
No, ma'am. We spoke about this previously before the insurance came back and made the payment to the loan company, which didn't cover the remaining amount. We spoke about that previously, about
And
splitting it.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me about the conversation.
Well, ma'am, we spoke about it. I told her, you know, the car wasn't in my name. I didn't have the car. You know, he had it before we were married, even together. She made the bad decisions when she purchased the car, which put the car in debt automatically. And I told her, I said, you know, I've taken care of it. We've gone back and forth. You know, I didn't want the vehicle from the get-go, but I took it.
Just a second, listen to me. When you say you had discussions about it, did you come to an agreement? Is that what you're getting to? Or you
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
all I'm hearing is you told her. What did she agree to?
We agreed that whatever the insurance company did not pay, we would split it 50-50.
Good. Is that what you agreed to?
No, ma'am. There was no way I was in the position
Why would
to
she
make
do
a deal
that, Mr.
to
Bush?
pay for half of
Just
the vehicle.
Just a second. Why would she do that?
I don't know. I would, because it was her
I don't
vehicle.
believe that she did. No, it was your car. Let me ask you this question, sir. Let's say you kept this car for 20 years and it became a classic, not an old wreck, it became a classic. And during that 20 years' time that it's in her name, you finished paying off the car, you put a lot of money into the car, you put new paint into the car, you put new rims in the car, and you're going to sell it. And you have an opportunity to sell that car for a lot more than it was paid for initially. How would you feel if Ms. Torres came to you and said, listen, the car's in my name, I want the money? What would you say?
I'd be upset
Oh, why would you be upset? The car's in her name.
because I invested time into that.
Well, but you made bad choices.
Yeah.
You invested in a car that wasn't in your name. You invested in it, you put in rims on it, you put in new paint, you put in new insides, and all of a sudden she comes back and she says, listen, it was really nice of you. Car's in my name. I just sold it for $15,000. And you said, well, at least let's split it. She said, I don't want to split it with you. I want the whole thing myself. It's in my name. Isn't that what you're saying to me, Mr. Bush? You're saying I agreed to keep the car. She kept one. I kept the other. I made the payments faithfully, but something bad happened to the car. Why should I be responsible for what happened bad to the car when the car was in her name? Explain to me how that's different from the scenario that I just gave you.
She didn't invest a lot of time and money into that car. I did.
Do you see how foolish you sound, Mr. Bush? Very foolish. Now, you had a choice. You could have said, for all intents and purposes, this is my car, which is really what you said to her back in October. You said, it's my car. I can take my girlfriend out in it. I can take my fiancé out in it. I can take it to my wedding. I can take it on my honeymoon. You have nothing to do with this car. You do have a new girlfriend, right?
No.
Well, you did have,
I did.
because according to you, just a second. Ah, maybe I'm thinking about the wrong Mr. Bush. Hold on a second. Are you the same Mr. Bush that wrote right here? I'm write a check for $2,000 directly to the finance company. What happened to that girlfriend?
It ended.
Did you give her back the $2,000?
Yes.
Oh, you see, you can't even look at me in the eye and say I gave her back the $2,000.
She got it back.
I doubt it. So, Mr. Bush, you see you did have a choice, sir. If this was your car, you could have increased the premium on the insurance and had a $500 deductible. If the car had been stolen, they would have paid you practically everything for the car, right? That was your choice. You could have paid a little bit more insurance, and the car would have been completely covered. It was your car. That was your agreement with her. It was going to be your car. You just couldn't have a car in your name, couldn't get it financed because you had bad credit. Why did you have such bad credit?
It's not because I had bad credit, ma'am. It's because I had my Harley loan, and the car that she's driving is in my name also. So with 2 vehicle loans to get another vehicle.
Was the Harley insured on the same policy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. 3 months after he left, he reinsured it through our policy without my knowledge.
Just a second. So you know how to get cars covered, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this your first marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did it last?
Less than 1 year.
Perfect. You have no children together?
No, ma'am.
Even better. You say somebody was watching over me.
Definitely. Somebody was watching over me.
Right. Slick. How much is owed on the car? How much are they coming after you for?
The remaining balance is $2,226.37.
$2,226?
Yes, ma'am.
How many cents?
37 cents.
Can I see the letter, please?
That's the statement, and that's the remaining balance.
And the name of this loan company is?
Franklin Capital Corporation.
You don't mind if he writes his check directly to them, do you?
No, ma'am, but I'm also suing for the November payment and December payment I made for him.
Oh, you did?
Yes, ma'am.
2226 plus
$535 for November. January's late fees of $15, $528 for February, and $15 late fees for that also.
I have $33.19. Mr. Bush, you have to act responsibly, sir. Ladies aren't going to bail you out forever. You're not that good looking. Judgment for the plaintiff may amount to $3,319. That's all.
25-year-old Leah Miller is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old waitress Angelica Simpson, for her share of the furniture purchased for their apartment.
Miss Miller, you and Miss Simpson were friends and roommates for a while. You claimed that when she moved out, she took half the furniture in the apartment that you had both purchased on a credit card.
Correct.
You are stuck with the credit card, and she took half the furniture.
Correct.
Ms. Simpson says she did not take half the furniture.
Correct.
She only took a bed.
Bedroom set.
Bed. And she left items there that are worth far more than the bed that she took. Now, when did you move in together?
February of 2005.
Was it a one-year lease?
It was actually 15 months.
And when did you move out?
I left the last weekend in January.
And that was by agreement?
Correct.
When did you purchase the furniture?
February of 2005.
What did you purchase?
She purchased a bedroom set. I purchased a bedroom set.
When you say she purchased a bedroom set and you purchased one, were they purchased on two different credit cards or one credit card?
No, they did a joint account for both of us. So we were both liable for it.
Okay. Continue.
I also purchased a living room set, and she purchased her bedroom set, which included a bed, a dresser, an end table, a mattress. I purchased the same thing, plus a living room set, which included a couch, a coffee table, an ottoman, and a love seat.
Okay, go ahead.
One night, I came home, and I saw her and her friends playing quarters on my brand new coffee table. I confronted her about it.
When you say you purchased the living room furniture,
yes,
were you jointly paying the bill with her?
We had separated her cost from my cost, and we came up with an agreement that she would pay me $60 a month for her portion, and then I would pay the rest.
She only has responsibility for the bedroom furniture.
Correct.
And that's all that you're suing for.
Well, also, as the time went on, as we were living together, I found things missing from my room.
I don't care about things missing from your room.
Well, I had to purchase a lock to put on there, and I came home with her playing games on my...
Listen to me. I don't care if you had to put a lock on your room. I read it. You had to put a lock on your room for $2?
It was actually 15. Yeah.
In the scheme of things, you're talking about nothing.
Well, I had things missing from my room. Shirts, underwear I had missing from my room.
Good. I'm not bothering with that.
Yeah. Okay.
You had other people living there, other people staying there, other people staying over. Don't bother me with nonsense. You hear about furniture.
Well,
Don't throw in the kitchen sink to a lawsuit because judges get irritated, especially this one. Okay. How much was your bedroom furniture?
The whole set together was around $1,300. It was like $1,300 and some change. Actually, Your Honor, I have the evidence that hers was $1,412. That would be including the tax, probably.
$1,412. And how much of that did you pay, Miss Simpson?
I started paying her when I moved out. Like I said, I left a TV there that I had purchased for $500. There's also entertainment center, dishes, mirrors, things of that nature that were there that I had left there that I didn't take.
Just a second. Did you have, Ms. Simpson, any agreement?
Yes.
Listen, you're not letting me finish my sentence. Did you have an agreement with Miss Miller that in lieu of paying Bill $1,412, you were going to leave items in the apartment?
No.
Then I'm not interested in what you left.
But that's where I was going with this. I had moved out of the apartment and had paid her $55 for so-on months. Then
just a second.
You talk
very.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
You paid her $55 a month for how many months?
So it was for 6 months.
Okay.
No.
Shh,
Okay.
just a second. $55 a month for 6 months.
Yes.
Okay, that would be $330.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Then I'm a waitress, so I make all my money in tips, and I was paying her in cash. A incident arose with my mom when she pointed out that it was both my name and Miss Miller's name on the contract. So if I was paying her the money, how would I know that she was paying it to More Furniture? So I went into More Furniture and wanted to separate my name for her name on the account. They told me I was not allowed to do that.
Correct.
And that if we didn't pay off the money by the date with no interest, we would have to pay all of the back interest. When I brought this up to her, she did not want to give me receipts for the back payments, nor she had also moved out of the state and had given me a P.O. box where I could send her money, but I wasn't getting anything in return for paying her money. So my agreement was, well, if you're not...
What do you mean your agreement?
Or my side of it was, if you're not going to be proving to me that I'm paying you and give me a copy of the statement, then I will pay the money directly to More Furniture, but not to you.
So
you don't
did you
need
do
to be
that?
the middleman.
Did you do that?
No, because she hasn't been making the payments. They told me that...
Don't tell me what they told you.
Okay.
Do you have your statement?
Yeah, I have all the statements right here.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Here's the statement.
Sorry. How much money, if any, did she give you after she moved out?
$320.
No, she's making the payments.
Well, and this is my issue is, like you said, my furniture and her furniture is together, and there wasn't a minimum payment. So when or if it's not paid off, it's still gonna hurt my credit. That's what I'm saying. I have no problem paying the furniture. That's not the issue. I will pay the furniture and More Furniture. It was contacting Leah to make the payment.
But right now it's more than $1,412 because right now they've added interest.
Right.
Right.
But they won't separate us from each other. That's
well,
why.
So there's just a second. Well, she's paying something. You're paying nothing.
Sure. No, and I understand that. But
well,
I'm
but you have to pay something, madam. Where are you sleeping?
Well, I have a house.
You're sleeping on the bed.
Yes.
So you have to pay something.
I understand that. But I have an agreement with More Furniture to pay the furniture.
I don't see that. Where are you standing there all by yourself with a big smile? Where is the agreement that you have with More Furniture?
I can't get a copy of it because my name and her name's on it without her permission.
Just a second. So how can you have an agreement without a copy of the contract?
Well, that would be the original contract.
No.
Okay.
$1,412 less $320 is $1,092.
Can I say something?
Sure.
In the months that I have been paying it, I've had to pay extra, and I was working 2 jobs to, I know it's $60.
That's good for you.
But I have had back payments and all this stuff that I've had to come up with.
Good. That's what happens when you act stupid and take out a joint credit card with somebody. She owes you $1,092. And as soon as you receive that money, you will sign an agreement with her that the court will prepare that you are totally indemnifying her against any claim by Miller Furniture for this furniture, and they can deduct forthwith from your salary or your income tax refund, if any. Okay. You do work, don't you?
Yes.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,092. Wait around to sign the contract. Thank you.
Jean Johnson is suing her daughter, 28-year-old Christine Leffler, for 2 unpaid loans. Jean says her daughter is taking advantage of her.
Miss Johnson, this young lady is your daughter.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges 2 loans to your daughter, and she has repaid neither.
Correct.
Your daughter says that her family came on hard times. You were kind enough to offer her some money for housing. She accepted your offer, which was a gift, not a loan.
Yes.
Tell me about the first amount of money that your mother gave you.
My mother had given us $2,000.
When?
April, I believe.
Why?
My husband was a owner-operator of his own business, a trucking company, and we're from Massachusetts. It was very snowy this winter, so his work slowed down quite a bit. And then he had to have major surgery on his colon, and that put him out of work for a couple months. So things were very bad for us, mortgage-wise. So we decided that, it might be better for my husband's business, trucking, to move to Florida. That's always sunny there. You don't have to worry about missed days. So, we found a house and that we liked, and she gave us the money.
I didn't give the money.
Okay, just a second. Wait 1 second. Tell me about the call that you got for the $2,000.
Well, they did have hard times, and she did call me, and she needed some help with the deposit on the house that they were going to get in Florida. I was against it. I didn't want my grandson going all the way to Florida. You're a grandmother.
That's true.
And I told her I would loan her the money, but I needed the money back. It was
When
money
did
that
you
I-
expect her, and how did you expect her to pay it back?
Her house was on the market, and she had promised to pay me back after May 26th when she sold her house.
Now, when was the next loan? When was the next amount of money that your mother gave you?
I'm not sure of the exact dates, but, you know, we did talk about that, and she knew that we were on hard times. And when we did get an offer on the house, it was less than what we had expected.
Well, how much did you get?
We got about 17 grand. Unfortunately, due to being behind, you know, my husband had to catch up
So you
on...
netted $17,000 in profit?
Yes.
And how much was this second amount of money that your mother gave you, and for what?
She had found us a rental house in Westboro. Every time I would go over to her house, I would get
Well, the first house fell through in Florida.
Well, that was to build for us to own. She had found us a rental house.
Why did it fall through?
The builder had been put to a halt in Florida. He had too many outstanding projects per the person that we were going through.
So you lost the $2,000?
Yes. Yep. So she had found us a house in Westboro. She gave the woman the money to secure it so we'd be in the same town as her. And I knew that she knew that we had no way of paying her back. I couldn't pay my mortgage. How was I going to pay her back all this money? It's ridiculous.
Out of the sale of the house?
Well, that's just the thing, Your Honor. I mean, everybody else that, you know, my husband had his truck that he owned, which was quite a lot of money every month, so we had all these pay. And, you know, we owed money to his parents. I mean, it was just out of control this
How much
winter.
money did you owe to his parents?
We owed his parents $5,000.
They got their
They
money.
Shh. Did you pay him back?
Yes.
Did your mother know that you had paid back your husband's parents?
Yes.
What does your mom do for a living?
She works in an office.
And your father?
My father's a retired policeman.
So he has a pension?
I believe so.
And your in-laws?
My father's a retired state
Your
policeman.
father-in-law?
My father-in-law, excuse me, is a retired state policeman.
So he has a pension?
Yes.
And your mother-in-law?
I believe she works at TJ Maxx still.
They have comparable kind of incomes. Why would you choose to pay back your in-laws and not your mother?
Because it's my mother, and because she knew that we were in difficult times. I mean, my husband had to go back and take a job working for somebody again. He had to sell the truck, ultimately, because we couldn't afford to pay for it.
Well,
so now you go from making this much money to making this much money, and all these people that you owed, they really don't care. They want their money either way. So trying to raise an 8-year-old and,
Ms.
you know what I'm
Leffler, I
saying?
understand you, and I am compassionate to your position. And to be quite honest with you, unless your parents had their back to the wall and needed this money desperately, I don't think I would have pursued this matter in a court. I'm telling you right now, Ms. Johnson, I would not have done that because I think that your daughter, she strikes me as being a reasonable person. But I think, Mrs. Leffler, that you could have handled it a little more reasonably and said to your husband, listen, we have one pot of money. We have $5,000 that we're able to scrape together to pay back our collective parents. And we can't pay them all back what we should together. So let's work it out and give each set of parents $2,500 and say, you know, we're going to try our best to put some money together so that we will have the respect of both sets of parents, not just one.
Well, I really didn't think that she wanted, I mean, I didn't think it was a loan. I really
Well,
didn't.
but listen, you can't tell me that the first time you heard about it was when you got served with a small claims summons. This is something that's been going on for a while. And I'm going to suggest to you that your mother might have let this slide for a longer period of time until she found out that you paid back your in-laws $5,000. Because, quite frankly, that would irritate me. You say to me, it's a very interesting thing. You said to me, it's because it's my mother.
Well, can I say that she didn't want the money until she decided she wanted to pay off her second summer car. She's got a nice Saab convertible. Not really something you need to have, but she has it. So, you know, I have to give her this money because she wants to pay her car off.
Just a minute. That's not your determination to make.
But all of a sudden it's...
What do you do for a living?
I work in an office.
Same as your mother? Mm-hmm. And your husband's working now?
Well, he's working for somebody now. He's not making the kind of money he used to.
Well, he's working?
Yes.
And you have one child?
We do.
When did you pay back your in-laws?
When we sold the house.
You owe your mother the money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all.
Ken and Cindy Slavin claim Navjot Singh owes for the refund of a miniature English bulldog. The Slavins claim The dog died en route to their home, and Navjot won't refund their money.
Mr. and Mrs. Slavin, you purchased a dog from the defendant, a dog that you saw advertised on the internet?
That's correct.
And you two live in two different states. Before the dog arrived at your home, it died. You want the return of your money, which you had sent to Mr. Singh prior to his putting the dog on a plane.
Yes.
Mr. Singh says it's not his responsibility, it's somebody else's responsibility. Right?
Correct.
Ah, okay. What kind of dog was this, Mr. Singh?
This was an English bulldog.
And how much did you charge the Slavins for this dog?
$3,600.
Why so expensive, sir?
It was a smaller version, and it's categorized under a miniature English bulldog.
Did you raise the dog?
I had him for maybe a year and a half, maybe.
That's not my question. Of course you had him. I assume that you didn't steal him. I asked you if you raised them.
Yes.
How old was the dog?
When what?
How old was the dog?
About almost 2 years old when I sold him. I have the specific date right here.
So if you have the dog for a year and a half, the dog was 6 months old when you got him.
Correct.
Why are you asking me? That sounds like a question, Mr. Singh. Is that correct, that the dog was 6 months old when you got him?
Correct.
Who did you get him from?
Veronica.
For how much?
$3,500.
Was she the breeder of this dog?
Yes.
When did you put this ad on the internet to sell the dog?
The dog was never, I guess maybe January.
The dog was never what?
I really didn't want to, you know, the dog wasn't heavily advertised. It was a litter from the dog that was advertised.
This was a female or a male?
This was a male dog.
And how many puppies were born from that litter?
4.
Is that a question or an answer?
It's an answer.
Let me see the ad, please. This is not an advertisement, Mr. Slavin, for the dog that you bought, and that was Monster.
Correct.
How did you come to buy Monster?
Well, I asked him about any of the pups, were any of them left, and he said they weren't. And then I proceeded to ask, did he have any older dogs for sale?
When did you correspond with him?
About the 25th of January.
Well, this ad is for May 14th, 2005.
That's correct. I had not printed off the original ad, but that was a copy, or one that's been updated, stating that Monster still is at stud. So, point being, either he sent me a different dog.
Just a second. How many monsters do you have, sir?
I have one Monster. Gestation of a female dog is 63 days.
Correct.
Okay, after a female dog has her puppies.
Say anything else. You contacted him in January of 2005.
That's correct.
And he said he's left.
Correct.
And you decided to see if he would sell you Monster.
That's correct.
The 2-year-old male.
Correct.
So far correct?
Yes.
And you agreed on a price of?
$3,600.
Even though he was selling the puppies for $2,500.
Well, it sounded good. It says proven, had puppies before, so it would be able to use it as a stud yourself.
Well, why would you want to use this dog? Were you buying it as a pet, or were you buying it to breed?
Buying it to breed. We had 2 females.
Are these miniatures?
Yes.
Now, do you have a contract with him?
No, ma'am.
When you're a breeder, you usually have contracts.
We're from the country, and every man's word should amount to what his word is, but I know that's old-fashioned.
Let me see the vet report that you have while I'm taking the rest of this testimony. Okay. Now, according to you, you put the dog on a plane.
Yes, I did.
Let me see.
And also, this is a receipt. Basically, I was called and just told to drop the dog off at this particular site at this time and this date by the Slavins. And this is the receipt that says that transportation was prepaid for, so meaning I did not have anything to do with Delta Airlines.
Who paid for the transportation?
They did. I didn't do anything with airline.
Fine. Correct. You took care of the transportation.
No, I just gave him $3,600, and he took care of it.
If you see right there, it's checked off prepaid, Your Honor.
It does, but it doesn't say it was prepaid by. Well, that's really not the issue, Mr. Singh. The real issue is whether A, you sent a sick dog, and B, more interestingly to me, how can you send a dog that clearly everybody acknowledges did not arrive alive and still advertise Monster for stud 5 months later?
I've been breeding dogs as a hobby for a while. Initially, I lived in Fresno, California. Now I'm a dental student here in Los Angeles. And basically how it works is first a female dog goes into heat every 6 months. After she's been in heat for every 6 months, you breed her, and then 63 days is gestation, meaning the dog mother carries the puppies in her stomach.
I know what 63 days gestation means. I went to high school.
4 months after that, you have to keep the puppy with the mother. I bred Monster before I sold him. That's why I was advertising him as the father of these puppies.
Your Honor, he's advertising that as a current stud, meaning it's alive, it's current.
Both of the parents are, well, that's misleading. Both of the parents, Monster and Pup Girl, are very lightweight and especially short. Well, that's not true.
How's that not true?
Well, because Monster isn't a present. Both of these parents, Monster and Pup, Monster, who was very lightweight and short, and Pup, who I assume is still alive, is very lightweight and short. Monster was, not is. You know what the difference between was and is?
I do. I went to high school.
Oh, okay. So if you went to high school, Mr. Singh, you know. Both of the parents, Monster and Pup. Monster was a lightweight dog. He is no longer. So you can't say they are, because he isn't an are, he is a was.
But at the time the puppies were bred?
Doesn't make any difference. This is as of 7/4. You're advertising this, sir. As of 7/4, Monster is no longer alive.
And the website hasn't been updated for a while either.
That's misleading. Then it's misleading, Mr. Singh. Now, did you sell these puppies?
Yes.
Really?
They're
You
sold.
have the names of the people you sold them to?
I do.
Did you tell the people that Monster was dead?
Yes. I told him he had been sold. I told him I did not
That's
have...
not what I asked you, whether you told him he had been sold. I said, did you tell the people that bought the puppies that Monster was dead?
Correct, I did.
You did. I don't believe that, Mr. Singh.
We can have them come in.
I could, or I could just rely on my own common sense and your response to me, sir.
Okay.
That you didn't say to people who were going to spend $2,500 for a dog that the stud died.
But the death wasn't my responsibility of the dog.
Oh, I'm going to make that assessment right now, Mr. Singh.
Okay.
When did you put this dog on the plane, Mr. Singh?
2/15/05?
Well, you took the dog to the vet on 2/14.
Correct.
This dog was not a well dog when you put him on the plane, sir.
How was it not well?
You want me to tell you what he wrote in his notes about the dog?
She, yes, go ahead.
She. What I can read.
Wait, did you get those notes from the veterinary themselves, or?
Yes.
Can I take a look at that?
Sure.
These notes on the dog, the veterinary knew this is an English bulldog, so basically she's making notes in regardless of a regular dog, but this is actually an English bulldog, so brachiocardial sounds are normal, and having a high temperature are normal with English bulldogs. In that, they're so normal that Delta has a specific policy for shipping snub-nosed dogs.
Mr. Singh, are you playing with me, sir?
No, I'm just trying to state my side.
The vet says that the dog looks like it's been chewing on its rump as well. It has very long toenails, which indicates that it has not been well cared for. I also have dogs. Green mucosoid discharge. I'm not talking about the sounds from your English bulldog, because we all know, I mean, if you're a dog lover, you know different breeds. English bulldogs have very small noses, so that they breathe, they snort, they make noise. I'm not talking about that. Your vet said that the client, that was you, declined a microscopic examination, declined to have the dog's ears cleaned, declined medication, declined nail trim. You said that the dog will be traveling because the dog is a Valentine's Day gift for a friend. That's what you told, that's what the vet said you told the vet. And the vet says, underlined, see vet as soon as possible at new placement for infection. Okay? Told no food in the morning of the flight. Airline may decline boarding with eye skin infections.
Eye and skin infections are very common for English
Listen
bulldogs.
to me, sir. Listen to me, sir. You did the wrong thing. When somebody pays you a substantial amount of money, and you have a dog that the vet says needs some treatment, you are supposed to ensure that before you put this dog on a plane, this dog, bill of health, not just sufficient to travel, clean bill of health. And you didn't do that. I wouldn't buy a dog from you, sir. I would suggest that if any of the 10 million people who watch this program thinking about buying a dog, they will never buy a dog from you because you haven't done the right thing. When you take on the responsibility of being a dog breeder, and you have an animal that requires a human being to take them to the doctor and make sure that they're taken care of, you're going to be a dentist, sir?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me? You're going to be a dentist?
Yes.
When somebody has a child and the child has something wrong with their mouth, the parent has the responsibility of bringing the child to the dentist, and you have the responsibility of, as the dentist, of taking care of whatever it is that that child needs, because the child can't do it for themselves. You got my drift, Mr. Singh?
I do.
Now, a small miniature English bulldog, 2 years old, if it's got mucus coming out of their eyes, mucus coming out of the nose, seems to have a trouble with biting its skin. And the vet says, you know, the dog could really be treated before you put it on a plane and send it to a new home. And you say, not necessary. As long as it's not an extremis, you give me a health certificate because it's good enough to go on a plane. This vet was not happy with the way this dog looked. And you should have seen to it that that dog was in tip-top shape before sending it off to new owners. That's what you do if you're a responsible, caring individual. So not only wouldn't I go to buy a dog from you, sir, I wouldn't let you fill my worst cavity. Because what you did was the wrong thing. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's all.
19-year-old Preston Wamsley is suing neighbor Audrey Martinez and her son, 17-year-old Chris Rivera, for the cost of a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Preston claims Chris totaled the vehicle.
You and the defendants are neighbors. This is
Christopher Rivera.
17.
Yes.
And this is your mother. At some point, Christopher came to your house and asked if he could borrow your car. You knew he was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is not an answer in court. Is fine outside here. You
Yes, Your
say
Honor.
yes, no, whatever. Your Honor is a nice touch. He said he needed your car so he could take his sister to school.
Yes.
But that was a partial truth. You know what that means?
I'm not sure.
It means it was only partially true, half true. A little piece of it was true. Some of it was a lie. You didn't just want to take your sister to school. You did something else with the car, right?
Yes.
What else did you do with the car?
I gave my cousin a ride home.
And after you gave your cousin a ride home, then what else did you do with the car?
And I let April drive it.
Who's April?
Some girl.
Was she in the car?
Yes.
I didn't get that part of the story. How did April get into the car?
Because she was with my cousin.
How old is April?
17, I believe.
I want you to keep your voice up. You don't mind my yelling at him, do you?
No, ma'am.
Yes. And April wrecked the car.
Yes.
So, Mr. Wamsley, you expect Mrs. Martinez to pay for your car.
Yeah, and I was under the impression that he had a license.
I don't care whether you thought he had a license to drive race cars or drive a ship to the moon. You have no right to loan a car to a minor. None. Now, I read your complaint and you said, well, you thought he had a license because you saw him driving around in his mother's car.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Well,
Your
his
Honor.
mother wants to be a jerk and let him drive around in her car. That's her prerogative and her problem. But how do you know that his mother gave him permission to drive around in her car? Maybe he was just driving around in it when she wasn't home. Is that possible?
It could be, yes.
Sure. Does your son have a driver's license?
No, ma'am.
You ever give him permission to drive your car?
No.
You drive your mother's car?
Yes.
Where's your mother when you drive her car?
At home.
Does she know you drive her car?
No.
See what I mean? As a matter of fact, if he was injured while in your car that you let him borrow, she would sue you and would have collected. Do you understand? When you're dealing with a minor, and he's a minor, he's a stupid minor, and he's dishonest, right?
Yes.
You do not do anything that would require parental permission, because when you talk in terms of minors, they are referred to as minors in the law because they're too stupid to make their own judgments. He's too stupid to make his own judgment. And you gave him a weapon. Was April hurt?
No, ma'am.
Anybody hurt?
No, ma'am.
You are a very lucky man, sir. You should go home and thank your lucky stars that somebody isn't suing you and taking your house away. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jennifer Knoll says former landlord Michael Clover owes for the return of her security deposit and rent money. Michael is countersuing for damages to Jennifer's apartment and for lost revenue.
Ms. Knoll, the defendant was your landlord. According to you, you moved in. You were forced to move out. You want your security deposit back. You want your rent money back. Plus, you want punitive damages for harassment. The defendant says that you were, in fact, a very difficult tenant, that you caused damage to the property. There was a leak emanating from your apartment. You had a dog that was in violation of the lease, and he is countersuing for those damages. Okay. When did you lease this apartment?
I signed the lease in December 1st of 2006.
Who was living in the apartment?
Me and my 3 children.
Were you working at the time?
I was not.
How were you supporting the children?
I had child support coming in, and I was having subsidized housing.
The rent on the apartment without the subsidy was how much?
$650 a month, plus a $100 utility escrow.
And how much were you actually paid?
$344 a month.
And the rest was subsidized?
Correct.
When did you move out of the apartment?
July 1st, 2007.
Tell me why.
Michael Clover and myself have had a very tumultuous relationship as far as landlords and tenants go. During my time as renting with Mr. Clover, he's accused me of owing him money several different times. He's came over to my house screaming and swearing at me along with his wife. I've had to have police escorts for him coming into my house.
Did you pay your rent on time every month?
Every month, and I did prove that to him in April when he sent me an invoice.
Can I see that you paid your rent on time every month?
That is up through, I believe, April, possibly later.
I seem to have checks, sir, for all of her rent with your endorsement on the back of those checks.
Correct.
So she doesn't owe you any money?
Yes, she does.
For what?
For rent and also for utilities.
Which rent does she owe you for?
She owes me for July of 2007, and she owes me for utilities.
Just a second. Was she living there in July?
No.
Okay, forget July.
Okay.
She lived there in June?
Okay.
Good. Let's move on.
I would like to state, within that $344, there was a $25 dog allowance in there. I had told him at the end of December that I was getting my dog back from my ex-husband, and my dog would be moving in there. So right in your paperwork that you have, it shows that I have been paying for my dog also.
I want to see the lease.
The lease does not include a pet.
Rent on the apartment was $650.
Correct.
And you received how much from the state?
$341.
$309.
Okay.
That's what she should have been paying you. $309. She was paying you $344.
She was owing for utilities, Your Honor. The utilities were not divided up to $100 a month until sometime in late 2007. They were getting out of hand because she wouldn't be paying the utilities. The bill was split in half.
No, don't speak.
And
he's talking now. Do you understand?
The lease states that they pay the utilities.
The utilities included into the month's rent.
No, impossible.
In January, I paid $244 because that was my portion of the rent, was $244 plus the $100.
That's impossible. I mean,
plus
it's
the $100 utility escrow.
Miss Knoll, your portion of the rent is $409
I believe he's
a month.
incorrect in that amount.
Your Honor, might I?
Is what you're telling me in your sworn testimony?
Yes.
That you got $341 for her as a subsidy each month. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
My rent due was $208 plus the $100 utility escrow. $650 minus $341 is $208 plus the $100.
I believe there are only about 3 landlords in our whole area that accept the housing authority stuff, and we really go out of our way to try to help these people.
Just a second, sir. You just showed me a check, Mr. Clover, for February in the amount of $431.
Thank you.
You just showed me a check in the amount of $431, not $331.
I apologize,
sir.
it's $431. That's what the housing is paying.
Thank you.
Very different, sir.
I'm sorry.
So it's $650 less $431 equals $219. That's her share of the rent.
Correct.
Now, she's been paying $344. She's been paying $100 for the utilities. That would be $319 and $25, you say, for some of those months for the dog.
Correct, and that included...
$344. Absolutely right. She's absolutely 100% correct based upon what you just gave me.
There was no agreement for a dog to be there, Your
Well,
Honor.
listen to me, Mr. Clover. Then why did you take an extra $25 a month from her?
She was paying erratically all along.
Erratically doesn't mean anything. She's paid up. I have her cancel checks that you cashed, sir. You want to dispossess somebody, you dispossess them. You go and you file a notice of eviction, you evict them. That's what you do. But you don't take their money. Okay, so you moved out. What do you want from him?
I would like the $650 security deposit doubled because he did not return my security deposit back within the 30 days mandated by Wisconsin statute.
Fine. Why doesn't she get it back?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, there was at least 3 times that I had called her to ask her about her rent.
I don't want to hear rent anymore. Listen to me carefully.
Off the rent.
She doesn't owe you a penny
Not
for
a
rent.
problem. Okay.
Doesn't owe you a quarter. You were paid your rent. Now, security deposit is what she wants back. She gave you $650 security deposit. Explain to me why. It's very easy. All you have to do is show me pictures. Show me pictures of the damage that she or her children or her dog caused to the property, and I will dismiss her.
Okay.
Very easy. Show me the pictures first.
Here are some pictures of the leak that was caused by her and repairs. This particular picture here shows where the damage was, is in the wall there, and is located right at this point on this type of a pipe. Now, this is a shower saver head, which is mandated in our area for all rental properties. There's a picture here of the shower head that she installed on there. It might be in those pictures. It's a white head.
I got it.
Okay, so it's a different one.
Just a second. Did you change the shower head?
Yes, but that is not the shower head that was on there when I moved in. That is not the type of shower head.
Whether it was or whether it wasn't. When did you change the shower head?
Pretty nearly immediately.
Okay. And then there was a leak in your apartment.
I didn't notice a leak, no.
But there was a leak.
Apparently downstairs there was a leak.
Where was it coming from?
The downstairs tenant said it was coming from my bathroom area.
Okay. And did you fix it?
Yes, I did.
And where was it coming from?
Well, it was coming from this pipe that came out of the wall, and this pipe here was broken off in the threaded area. I brought this along to...
Just explain it to me, sir. Okay. Now, she replaced the shower head.
They broke it when they did that.
She replaced the plumbing fixture, which she's not permitted to do.
Right.
And what you're telling me is that was the cause of the leak that went into the lower apartments.
Correct.
Fine, and through the wall.
Yes, I had to cut the wall out, and the pictures show...
I see that you had to cut the wall out.
And the downstairs...
You can't do that.
The shower head that was in there had a hole in it, there was a crack on it, and it was not a shower saver.
Show me where you sent him a letter indicating that.
There's nothing saying that I couldn't change the shower head.
If you
he told me to treat the place as my own.
Listen to me. If you put in a new shower head as a tenant and disconnect what he has, and I assume you did it yourself?
It was just a little shower head from Walmart.
I assume you did it yourself.
Yes.
And if there's a leak, you're responsible.
But the leak was there prior head per the conversation of the person underneath in my house.
Okay.
It had been leaking there for months.
That's hearsay. What else, Mr. Clover?
Well, I'd like to get paid for the damages to repair that leak.
Just a second. Show me the bill.
Okay.
No way. I said I want to see the bill,
Your
not
Honor,
what you typed up.
This is not a bill?
No, that you typed up.
This is a bill typed up.
Who typed it?
I did.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Your Honor, am I allowed to get paid for the work that I do on in my apartment as the maintenance person for myself?
If the question you're posing to me, sir, is, are you entitled to offset her security deposit for a leak that she caused, the answer is absolutely you are. And if what you do for a living is manage this building, then you're not entitled to your time. You are entitled to parts. You're entitled to helpers. But if what you do is manage this building and gain revenue from this building, there's no way for me to say to you, listen, you work 40 hours a week. You didn't do this other than your work week.
Your Honor, I charge $250 to cut a hole 6 foot wide by 2 foot wide.
This is what you do for a living, sir? Is this what you do for a living?
But I cut the hole through the drywall.
I got it.
I took the pipes and cut them. I welded them back together and put this stuff, and I'm not allowed to get paid for that time.
You are paid
Thank
for
you,
that.
Your Honor.
Sir, you are paid for that time.
How?
From renting your apartments. That's your maintenance on the apartments.
She caused the leak?
I am certainly, sir, listen to me. Hey! I am certainly prepared to compensate you and to deduct from her security deposit any parts that you had to purchase as a result of her negligence. Absolutely. Show me what you spent for parts, and I will absolutely deduct it from her $650. So because of that,
Your Honor,
listen to me.
Excuse me, Your Honor, with all due respect,
you're not
I'd like
paying
to
attention.
ask you.
You think you're going to talk over me, Mr. Clover? That's
No.
not happening.
I would just like
Mr.
to
Clover, that's not happening.
Okay.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Carpeting damage.
When was the carpet put down in the apartment that she rented?
2 years before she...
I'm not interested in carpeting damage. If it was put down 2 years before she moved in.
In the living room. In the bedroom, the carpet was put down just before she moved in. It was new.
Show me the bill.
Okay.
No. Listen to me. What I asked you for, Mr. Clover, you're not following me, sir. Put the picture down. I want the bill for the bedroom carpet.
Okay, Your Honor, allow me to explain, please. The place has been vacant since the tenant moved out. I got a letter from her asking to get out of her lease, and I told her that we would happily let her out of her lease if she was to provide us with another tenant to take over the responsibilities. Otherwise, we don't just let people out of their leases, just, you know, you can get out next month.
I assume you're getting to the carpeting, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Get there fast. I have other things to do. Get to the carpet. I asked you for the bill for the carpet that you put in immediately before she moved in.
I don't have that.
Okay. Let me see a picture of the carpet immediately preceding her moving in the bedroom. Bedroom carpeting looks pretty bad. Miss Knoll.
This is the condition that the stove was left in, Your Honor. I
see.
know that it's going to be hard for me to say that I want $25 to clean the stove out.
Do you have any other pictures you want to send up here?
May I see this?
Yes, this one right here.
May I see the picture of the stove, please?
Absolutely.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would like to mention quickly that this is my own personal stove. I had removed his and used mine and then put his back into the apartment. This is my own personal stove.
Did you leave these things in your apartment?
The stuff that was there was left there before I moved in. Nothing was left there of mine.
Just a second. He took this picture, and I assume you removed the stove. And when you left, you took this stove.
Correct.
Show me where you took this stove.
I can't prove where I took that stove. That stove is now in another apartment with my ex-husband.
No, I don't believe you.
It is. He has a brown range stove.
Who moved the stove?
I'm sorry?
Who moved
My
the
father.
stove? You moved this filthy stove?
I did.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe it.
And in fact, I can say that when we were moving it, it was heavier than sin because I helped.
Well, let me tell you something. This
That's
stove
my
is
stove.
Just listen to me. If it is, it's an indication that the place was a mess.
No.
And listen to me. If it is, if this is your stove, and this is an indication of the way you kept this apartment, just listen to me very carefully, madam. When I agree with you, I agree with you. When I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. I told you, you're futzing through your papers. If this is an indication on how you keep your apartment, you kept your apartment messy. That's not a sin to keep your apartment in a messy state. But if this is an indication of a stove that you took with you, and gave it to your ex-husband, and why you would want to give this piece of crap to your ex-husband that you kept like this, I have absolutely no idea. Also, the carpet was clearly stained.
It was stained when I moved in. I asked Mr. Clover several times to provide me
Show
proof
me-
of the previous tenant's move-out
Show
record.
me the letters that you sent him about the carpeting.
Not about the carpeting.
Just-
I have.
That's all I asked you. I said, show me a copy of the letter you said about the carpeting.
I don't have anything for the
Right.
carpeting. I have something for him claiming that I wanted to see why he was charging me what he was charging me. I also have something
Well,
stating
clearly
that
this was not a
I
marriage
wanna
made in
see-
heaven. Madam, you paid rent and you lived there.
I want to see what
Listen
the
to me.
ex-landlord,
You paid
the
rent.
ex-tenant paid.
You paid rent and you lived there.
And I admit
And you
that
do-
the boys' bedroom carpet was messy.
And listen to me carefully.
But it was not new when I moved in.
Listen to me. You created a certain problem in the apartment through your own negligence. You are not getting your security back. End of discussion. What's next?
Mr. Clover did turn me into the child welfare. I have a showing here that I did not have. There was unfounded. My house was not messy except for the stove and a coffee pot.
Very good. Not interested. What else?
I want my 12 days rent back from December. I was not able to move in until the middle of December due to the
You
inability
don't
to
get
move in.
it. You lived there until July. If you didn't want to move in, don't move in. What
I
else?
couldn't move in due to
What
the
else?
apartment's condition.
What else?
I could not move in due to the apartment's condition.
What else? You're not getting it. You lived there December, January, February, March, April, May, June. If you didn't like the circumstances, tell him. Tell him.
I did.
I'm
I asked
leaving.
several times,
Tell
and it
him
was condemned by
I'm-
the health department.
Then you shouldn't have moved in. You should have moved back with your father.
I
What
would have
else?
liked to, but I have 3 children and
What
I need to have
else?
a house.
I'm sure he loves his grandchildren. What else? What else? That's it. You paid $200 a month rent for this apartment. The citizens of the county where you live paid the rest. You're not getting any money back. What else can I do for you? Nothing. Good. Now, listen to me. You've got her $650 security deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to make do with that to fix anything that you want
That's
fixed as a result of her tenancy.
That's fine,
We
Your
understand each other? What else do you want?
I would like $650 a month for lost rent and revenue up and through whatever is allowed by our state, which is $5,000.
Why? For what?
Her father is a police officer, and the day that I came over there to fix the water leak, and she was screaming and stuff at me about how mad she was about having to pay a $25 late fee for her rent. Then her father came around the corner with a gun on his side, and he had his hand on his gun, and he was in a hurry running up towards me with this gun. He had a mechanic
Just a
blue
second.
shirt on.
What does this have to do, sir, with lost rent?
Father and her got together and had the city of Altoona go ahead and send me a letter saying that I could not operate that as a rental house anymore because it was in a commercial location.
Sir,
It
sir,
had
listen to
been-
me. Listen to me.
Yes.
If the city where you live does not allow you to rent, it's because they blew the whistle on something that they felt was improper, and you think that they have motives, which were ulterior motives, because she wanted out of her lease. If that's
Right.
what you're telling me, it doesn't make any difference. If you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling, you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling. And I don't care whether they had good motives or bad motives
All right.
for reporting you. Anyway, you have your $650. You, on the other hand, have nothing. You had a place
May
to
I
live.
state?
You lived there. Goodbye. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Tim McDonald says he incurred attorney fees as a result of false charges filed by Camille Raciniak and Michael Wahab. The couple claims Tim was driving like a maniac.
Mr. McDonald, it is your claim that the defendants filed false charges against you. I believe that the charges emanated from an instance of what we've come to call road rage that happened about a year ago.
That's correct.
The defendant said that you were acting erratically, that what they were trying to do is to secure your license plate number so that they could forward it to the police when this incident occurred. You didn't know each other prior to this incident, is that correct?
No. That's correct.
And you had a trial, Mr. McDonald?
Yes, I did.
And you were acquitted.
I was acquitted on all 3 charges in 37 minutes.
When was the incident that...
October 24th, 2004 at 2 o'clock.
And what kind of car were you driving,
I
sir?
was driving a BMW Z3 convertible with the top down.
Do me a favor. Just let me ask the questions and try to give me just the answers that I need. Where were you going, Mr. McDonald?
I had seen an open house sign on a street called Edwards, and I was following an open house sign into a track that I had never been in.
Tell me what happened, Mr. McDonald.
Well, as I was going through the track, I realized that there was a car in front of me. It was driving in an erratic fashion. What I mean by that, it would slow down to about 5 miles an hour, speed up 6.
So listen to me. Don't interrupt him. You're going to have an opportunity to testify. Don't interrupt him. Sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
All of a sudden, I see her kind of go to the right. And I took that as her politely moving off to the right to let me go by.
How many lanes of traffic were there?
This street is a little unusual, and I have a picture over here that I took. If I may move over here to show you. Back here is where I'm seeing all the information going.
I just want to know how large the street was, Mr. McDonald. So that's the street that it was on, so there can be a parked car on either side and 1 lane of traffic.
Easily.
4 car lanes.
Correct.
Keep going.
The minute I went by her car, she lays into the horn, honk all the way around till I get in front. And I look in my rearview mirror, and simultaneously, I see both fingers go out the window on each side. So that kind of set the mood that was going on. And what I did is I gave a wave like this. My error. But I actually thought that was a polite movement on her in the very beginning. So as I go by, and I'm looking in my rearview mirror, I see this go on. They make a left turn. I think, okay, that's the end of it. Instead, they flipped the U-turn and now coming at me. They caught me at the stop sign, and his window's down. She pulls a car right up next to me to the left of my side, and there's nothing but screaming going on. So I looked at Miss Resnick, and I said, "You're driving like an idiot." And then I turned right, they turned left. I thought that was the end of it. Nope. So I'm going down the street here, and as I go down the street, the road, as it shows, veers off to the left. As soon as I got around that corner, they're right back on my butt again. Now the problem is, I have them, having gone off to the left, time's taken, and I think they've got a weapon with them. They're staying between a half a car length and a car length behind my car.
How fast were you going, Mr. McDonald, at this point?
Probably about 25, 30 at the most.
Did you ever accelerate beyond 25 to 30 miles? When?
When we came down the long street after they'd been tailgating me, I spotted people at the very end of the block. It's like the movie Duel, where I've got these people just bearing down on me. I don't know what they have in their possession.
What kind of car were they driving?
A white Malibu, I think is what it was.
Okay.
Like a mid-sized car. So they're behind me. I see people down at the end of the road. I accelerate and pull immediately in front of their house.
Uncross your hands.
At the exact moment that I'm pulling over and I get out of my car to yell to somebody to call the police, Miss Resnick takes her car and pulls in front in a wedge fashion.
Okay. So she parks and blocks you.
Correct. And all this whole thing that's going on is predicated on one idea that you said. They wanted to get my license plate. And I can show 15 different times that they could have. The truth meant, sure.
Life has a rhythm to it. There are certain things that are common sense, and there are certain things that are not. You don't have to fill in the blanks for me.
Okay.
If I need for you to fill in the blanks, Mr. McDonald, I'll ask you.
Okay.
Keep going.
So as soon as I get out of the car, she pulls the car over, he jumps out of the car and immediately starts coming toward me. Now at this point, I take a step toward him and I say, in the best voice I can, "Get back in your car."
Okay.
"Get back in your car." And it worked. He turned around right there, but Miss Resnick didn't leave it there. She puts her car in reverse. Your Honor, I have the transcripts of the court proceeding. I have it on audio, and I would appreciate to be able to at least play a couple tracks to give you a flavor of what happened.
She put the car in reverse.
Correct.
Go ahead.
And as she put the car in reverse, Mr. Wahab goes back to
Mr. Wahab. Mr. Wahab.
Sorry.
You have problem controlling yourself, sir?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
You have problem controlling your temper, sir?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Well, it sounds to me as if you do, sir. You don't want to create that kind of impression, do you?
No, I don't.
You see, you've already done it. You only have one chance to make a first impression, Mr. Wahab.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've made a bad one so far.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. Wahab gets out of the car. I tell him to go back. He gets back in the car.
You told me that already.
As Miss Resnick's backing the car up, he jumps in the car, shuts the door, and you think it would end there. No. She keeps the car coming right back at me. I move out of the way, and just like she did at the stop sign, she stops his car door right here, the window's down, and I said, "Get out of here!" Now, let me back up a minute.
When you said get out of here,
sure.
You made a slapping or punching motion.
Correct.
You hit the car?
Correct.
Did you hit it with your fist, with your hand? Did you
Open
kick
right
it?
hand.
Okay. Did you kick the car at all?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And then what happened?
So I hit it 3 times, "Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here," and as I'm saying that, I see Mr. Wahab either rearing back, like he was going to go back and kick me through the window, which I can't believe could be true,
Fine.
or...
Well, you don't know. Don't speculate.
Okay, well, I see something coming at me. And as I lean back to deflect it, she has the car in drive, and they take off.
Okay.
But they don't. She flips the car around and U-turns. Stops again.
Gosh.
Just on the other side of the road. He pops back out again. I say, get back in that car. He gets back in the car instantly. She takes off again. But that's not it. She goes forward again. She stops again. He pops out of the car, but this time, there's a guy that was standing on the other side. A lot of people were evidently watching this thing. He goes over to Mr. Wahab, puts his hand on his shoulder and said, it's not worth it, it's not worth it. Now, here's what I know.
Don't tell me what you know.
This is what I was thinking.
I don't care what you were thinking.
Okay? I left.
You left. Fine. Do you have a copy of the police report
Yes, I do.
that Ms. Rusniak and Mr. Wahab filed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Now, you were subsequently arrested, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
What were you charged with, sir?
I was charged with 242 battery of Mr. Wahab, disturbing the peace, challenging to fight against Mr. Wahab, and then vandalism, property, crime against Ms. Rusniak.
Who's going to speak for you? Both of you to start? Go ahead.
First, I would like to say that this man put my life in jeopardy. He really did.
No, you put your life in jeopardy. You put your life in jeopardy. I'm going to tell you why you put your life in jeopardy. Because according to what I read in the police report, your statement, you felt as if this man was driving too fast in a residential street. So you decided to try to get his license plate.
That's not all it was.
That's the reason, because there had been no altercation up until that time.
Actually, there was.
Oh, you explain that to me.
Well, as you see the street here, I live on not this street that's cut off, but the one in front of the Suburban right there.
So?
That's my street. I was turning left onto that street.
So?
He almost caused me to have an accident. He went around me on the left-hand side as I was making my left-hand turn.
He was driving, I said, he was driving erratically, and you said he put your life at risk. You put your life at risk.
I admit, I should have never followed him, and I will never do it again.
That's right.
I learned my lesson on that one.
That's right.
But he did physically assault me and my boyfriend.
Listen to me very carefully. You got hot, and you did a very dumb thing. You followed him, and you chased him several times.
I never...
Yes, you did. You followed him in order to, according to you, get his license plate number. But these are your statements, not mine. You told the police that she was so offended by this vehicle's unsafe driving that they made a U-turn and then made a U-turn back to attempt to get his license plate number of the vehicle to report it to the police. They said they pulled up alongside the vehicle at a stop sign. Well, what'd you do that for? If you wanted to get his license plate number, and call the police, but that's not what you did. And asked him why he was driving so recklessly. So let me figure this out. You were very offended by the way he was driving. You made 2 U-turns in order to catch up with him. That's what you told the police, unless you say the police are lying. And you didn't get his license plate, but you pulled up to him and, according to you, said to him in a calm way, why are you driving so recklessly? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds?
No.
Do you know how ridiculous? I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying to you that somewhere between what you're going to tell me and what he told me is the truth. That's probably why the jury acquitted him. Now, who are you? You are 2 people. He's 1 person in a car. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know whether you have good intentions, bad intentions. He has no clue. All he knows is, according to you, you have turned around and followed him on at least 3 occasions. And at that point, you are 2 nuts following him, and he doesn't know what you have in mind. So now what you're complaining about is that he dented your car. I would have hit your car. I would have taken a brick and thrown it through the windshield if 2 people were following me over a dissing incident.
That's not what it was about in the least.
Well, that's what it was about, madam. If you didn't get the license plate number calmly and call the police, you had a cell phone.
No, I didn't.
No, we did not have a cell phone.
Oh, and you had no pen?
No.
No, I did have a pen, but we were unable to get his license plate number.
He was driving
and
too
my
fast.
first intention was not to get his license plate number.
He had pulled over and stopped.
Your Honor, I can prove that they have a cell phone. I can prove it without a doubt.
How can you prove that?
I wasn't on the cell phone up until the point where I tried to call the police, sir.
Ooh, madam, are you telling me that you just lied to me when you said you didn't? I'm speaking! Are you telling me that you just lied to me when you said I didn't have a cell phone?
We don't have a cell phone on us.
Where was the cell phone?
It's not my house.
The house.
Just a second. You say you can show me that she had a cell phone in the car?
What they forgot was that they had called 911 from the cell phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
prove it.
Let me see.
No, I did call.
Mr. Wahab, let me explain to you twice now what you did, sir. You showed me that you cannot control your temper.
I can
2 times.
control my temper, Your Honor.
2 times in a courtroom. So if you can't control yourself in a courtroom, what are you doing out in the street when somebody drives by and flips off your girlfriend? Ooh. You have something that's going to show me that they had a cell phone?
Correct.
Show me.
I also have audio tape of the transcripts.
Okay, what kind of car was it? It was a convertible red BMW 2-door. And it was a male driver? Yes. He has some issues. Okay, what's the cell phone number you're calling from? 714. Okay.
2 things I'll show, Your Honor, if I may.
But just 1 second. Mr.
Sure.
McDonald, that doesn't demonstrate to me that they had a phone in the car.
No, I'm sorry, but I actually have her statement in court saying that she called on the way back to the house.
Let me see. I'd like to see that.
And I also have the certified copy of the transcripts complete.
He said that we pulled over to a red curb on the street. There's no red curb on that street,
Mr.
though.
Wahab, we're not talking about red
All right,
curb,
I'm sorry.
sir. The first thing
I don't even know why I'm here today.
Just a second. Well, look at me, and I'm going to tell you. You're here today because he's suing you.
Yeah, obviously.
He's suing you, and one of the things that surprised me about Ms. Rusniak's call to the police is her statement to the police, which I believe said something, and I'm paraphrasing, the guy's got some serious issues. Well, I want to tell you something. If somebody had just assaulted my passenger, as you claim, I wouldn't have said this guy in a BMW had some serious issues. I would have said this guy driving erratically has just assaulted my passenger. He kicked and punched my car. Something is clearly wrong with him. Not in the almost lackadaisical way. I'm speaking. Almost, we can hear it again. Almost lackadaisical way. You're reporting that this guy's got some issues.
The operator never let us finish our statement.
Let me tell you something. I heard this very, very clearly. Nobody cut you off.
No.
Nobody cut you off.
He didn't play the whole tape.
You know when I said to you before, life has a rhythm, and if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Somebody comes into my middle of the night, takes a knife and puts it to my throat, and assaults me. While they're leaving, they steal a teacup. When I call 911, I don't say somebody just came into my house and stole a teacup. I say someone came into my house, put a knife to my throat, and assaulted me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes,
I heard him in the background.
He was freaking out, and I was trying to be the calm one.
I heard him in the background. All right, let me see where you say she had the cell phone in the car.
Page 31, line 8
Okay.
in the transcript. I have the excerpts, and then I have, and that's a certified transcript.
Now, Mr. McDonald, you think I'm finished with you? I haven't started with you yet.
Okay.
Because I can tell what happened here. Anybody who's lived as long as I have knows exactly what happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm not sure you weren't behaving a little erratically, and I'm not sure you didn't lose your temper and didn't use a lot of foul language.
I don't use foul language at all, Your Honor. Not at all.
Not according to the witnesses, sir. According to the witnesses, they say that you were using a little foul language.
That's where
That may be.
That's where it fell apart in court. They never showed up.
Well, they may not have showed up for whatever reason, but that's what the witnesses said initially when they spoke to the police, whether they didn't want to get involved, whether they were neighbors, who knows. Page what?
Page 31, I believe it was line 8.
It's what you said, my dear. I'm going to read it to you. You backed up to help your boyfriend get into the car quicker, right? Yes. And then you leave. Yes. Okay, and you don't see the BMW anymore, correct? Not after I drove off. Okay, do you remember when you called 911? Yes, it was right as I was driving away.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, because...
Well, that's what it says. Now, I would assume that the trial of this case, you remember things more clearly than you do today because it was closer in time to the event. Aside from the fact, it doesn't make sense. Everybody keeps their cell phone in a car. So the fact that you say to me I didn't have my cell phone in the car was a crock. How much did this whole escapade cost you, Mr. McDonald?
He was able to do it for $3,500 as long as I supplied him with all the information.
But in court, you said that you got acquitted in 37 minutes. We were there.
No, it doesn't matter. It also, you said
Listen
that you
to
never
me.
touched my
Third time, you couldn't control yourself. Not the first, not the second. Third time, you couldn't control yourself. So you can't control yourself, and she doesn't know how to tell the truth. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
And, Your Honor, you're
Step
aware
out.
that I have judgments against each of it individually, correct?
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it.
Juanita Nuno is suing her daughter, Carolyn Torres, for a loan to bail her grandson out of jail. Juanita says she may lose her home to foreclosure.
Ms. Nuno, this is your daughter, and according to your complaint, you made your daughter a series of loans. She hasn't paid you back. Your daughter says, yes, it's true that you gave her some money. They were gifts. You do that to all your relatives, and you're singling her out for repayment of these gifts because she had a fight with your other daughter. Is that right, Ms. Torres?
Yeah, that's right.
What did I just say?
I owe her money, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They were gifts. To me, they were gifts. I heard what you just said.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Did you have anything to drink today?
No, I don't drink.
You use any drugs today?
No, I don't.
Well, then explain to me what your problem is, Ms. Torres.
I don't have a problem.
Who is that?
My kid's father.
Do you live with him?
When I want to, I don't know, when I want him there, I guess.
Step up, sir. What's your name?
Anthony Torres,
How long have you been with Miss Torres?
about 20, 21 years, off and on.
Do you work?
Yeah.
Your wife suffer from a disability?
No.
Well, is there something wrong with her today? She seems to be out of sorts today.
Well, because I
Mr.
don't think
Torres.
she should be suing me, that's why.
Why did you agree to come here?
I don't know.
Did you discuss coming here with your wife, Mr. Torres?
Yeah,
Why did she come?
because it's a lawsuit and she needs to come.
Juanita Nuno says her daughter, Carolyn Torres, owes for a loan for bail. Juanita says she posted her grandson's bond after he was arrested for burglary.
Now, if you've been with Mrs. Torres for 20-some-odd years, then you are the father of this young man who got himself into trouble last year?
Yes, I am.
And the first loan, according to you, Ms. Nuno, was for bail for your grandson.
Yes, it was.
What was he arrested for?
The jack broke into a school.
So he was arrested for burglary?
Yeah.
Did you call your mother and ask her for bail?
Yeah.
What did
But
you
he
say
called
to
her
her?
first, though. He called and I called after.
Who called?
I think my son called first, and then my niece called me, and then I called her back.
And when you called your mother, what did you say to her?
Bail him out. I don't have the money.
And what did she say to you?
She said, what happened? I explained to her what happened. The jack broke into a school, so can you bail him out? She does everybody else, so I figured she'd do him.
Why didn't you bail him out?
Like I said, I don't have the money.
Well, how do you support yourself?
By his child support checks.
Well, you live together. Why does he send you child support checks?
Well, when I want to get, I'll call him. He doesn't really live with me.
Miss Nuno, you really expect her to pay you back?
Yes.
From what?
She applied for Social Security, and she was supposed
What was the nature of her disability?
She has arthritis in the spine. That's inherited. It comes down the line. All of us have it. So she applied for Social Security disability.
Yeah.
And they were going to grant it to her. All she needed to do was take a physical exam.
So you expected her to pay you back out of her disability from the government?
Well, not only from that, but from my son-in-law. And I believe him because he never lies.
Well, did he promise to pay you back?
He said he would pay me back. He would pay the bonds people, so that would be good enough.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
So why didn't you pay her?
I intend to, I just haven't had the chance to do it.
It's a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. When are you going to do it?
As soon as I can.
So after they didn't pay you the $1,600, 6 months later you gave her another $2,000. You want to tell me why?
Because I beat her daughter. That's why. That's exactly what happened. She lent me money to move out because I beat her daughter for stealing my child support check.
No, Judge Judy.
Yes, that's what happened.
I billed Anthony out in November.
You got $1,600, Ms. Nuno. What's the $2,000 for?
For getting me out of her house. I was staying with her for 2 months.
Why were you staying there for 2 months?
Because my stupid son, we lost our house in Redlands, so I had to go move in with her because of what he did.
How many other children did you move in with?
5.
How old are your children?
15, 14, 10, and 3. And my son, Anthony, that's 18. He's 18.
You have a 3-year-old child?
Yes, I do.
How did you, with your terrible disability, have a 3-year-old child?
I guess. I don't know how. Well, how else am I going to have a kid?
Judge Judy, you wouldn't believe it. You will not believe this. I had her put in a convent in Mexico. I had tried to educate her day one, and you know...
That's what she went wrong when she sent me to Mexico. She never should have ever sent me to Mexico when I was 10 years old. Never.
Do you have anything you want to say to me, sir?
He didn't say nothing.
No.
I'm not speaking to
Well,
you.
he's not going to say anything.
I'm not...
He'll still won't say nothing, though.
I'm not speaking to you.
Well, I'm speaking to you. I'm telling you, he won't say nothing.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Torres. You've already shamed yourself in front of a lot of people.
I don't care.
You have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old who can all understand everything that's going around them. I feel very sorry for them, and I guarantee you that if you live alone with your children now, I'm putting in a call to social services to go and monitor your home if these children are in fact living with you. Are they living with her? Are the children living with her?
Yeah.
Well, somebody's going to monitor it. You're not there, is that right?
Most of the time, no.
Listen, Ms. Nuno, there is no question in my mind that having spent 10 minutes with your daughter, you had no reasonable expectation that that $2,000 was going to get repaid to you. Maybe the bail money, because you say that you had confidence in your son-in-law, and he says that he agreed to pay you back and he just hasn't gotten around to it yet. Mr. Torres, you have to find something to do with your time other than make children, sir. You have enough children. You have 5 children. And based upon what I've heard, you're not doing too well. And neither are your children. So you have to find some other way of occupying your spare time, like getting a second job, so you can support everybody, so they can all live together and not scam the government anymore. Do you understand me, Mr. Torres? This is all one huge scam you've been living with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all. Step out.
25-year-old Chad Navarro is suing the mother of his daughter, 23-year-old Jennifer Resnikoff, for stealing money from his bank account. Chad claims Jennifer used the money to buy drugs.
Mr. Navarro, you and Miss Resnikoff lived together for a period of time, and you also have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, when you were living together, you gave Miss Resnikoff the ability to withdraw money from your bank account. She had access to your bank account, and that was with your permission to cover certain bills.
Yes.
It is your claim that she drained your bank account in order to purchase drugs.
Yes.
And you want her to reimburse you for the amount that she took without your authorization to purchase drugs. Ms. Resnikoff says that she did, in fact, withdraw the money from your bank account. It was a bank account that you gave her access to. She had withdrawn money in the past for household items, but that you had not given her sufficient money to take care of your child, and she purchased items for your child, and that was the reason that she took the money out of the bank. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Resnikoff. When did Mr. Navarro give you access to the bank account?
I'd say probably about 4 months after we first met.
Give me the month and the year.
Approximately, I would say March of 2002, approximately.
So from March of 2002 until what date did you have access to the bank account?
Till we broke up.
Which was when?
Which was in August of this year.
During what months do you claim that she withdrew, without your permission, the bulk of the money, over $3,000?
Yeah.
September and October of what year?
5.
And when did the two of you break up?
We broke up maybe at the end of September.
October. Not August, it was October.
When was the last time you lived with Miss Resnikoff?
I don't really remember the dates. You know, I don't remember.
Was it 2 months ago?
or 2 weeks ago?
It was about a month, maybe 2 weeks ago.
I moved in with my brother 3.5 weeks ago. Thank you.
That's not August.
Well, I was saying that in August and October she was taking the money out. In 8 and 9. Oh, August and September. Okay.
Can I see your bank statement? How old is your baby?
11 months, ma'am.
Where is the baby?
She is here.
Who does she live with?
Me.
Are you talking, sir, about where it says ATM withdrawals?
Yes. She had the card. She took it out of the mail.
What'd you spend all this money on?
My baby.
Baloney.
No, really. I have a witness that was there most of the times that I went out and purchased stuff.
Well, just a second. Who gave you the authority to do that?
Well, I thought, seeing that I was on the account, that I could access it without this being a problem.
You spent over $3,000 in a 30-day period on your baby?
I don't think it was $3,000.
Yeah?
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Right on the back page, you can see the checks that she wrote to cash. So, I mean, why would she write it to cash if she was just buying the stuff for the baby? She could have just went there.
Listen to me. It's baloney. I just said to you, it's baloney.
I was just saying, sorry.
Yeah, it's baloney. My question to you, Mr. Navarro, is something that, to me, is more serious than $3,000 out of your bank account. You have a son or a daughter with this lady?
Daughter.
And you separated, and she took the baby?
Yes.
And you say she's got a drug problem?
She's with her brother right now, and
So
she's
what?
been clean.
How do you know that?
Because
How do you know
I
that?
trust her brother. Her brother's my best friend, and I trust him. And
You trust him to what?
He's there all day.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
He's there all day,
Well,
and...
why? He doesn't work?
No, he does work. He does eBay.
What do you mean he does eBay?
eBay, he sells stuff on eBay.
Where does he get the stuff he sells on eBay?
He buys it offline and then sells it like laptop computers and stuff like that.
Where does he get the money from to buy the stuff, sir?
Where does he get it? From eBay. He posts the stuff, he gets the money, and then he uses the money to buy the stuff again. You know what I mean? That's how...
Do I know what you mean? I know what you're telling me. I know what you're telling me. What do you do for a living?
Me? I'm a warehouse manager.
Let me tell you this, Mr. Navarro. If somebody has a $3,000 a month drug habit, which is what you're alleging, you don't get over a $3,000 a month drug habit unless you go into an inpatient facility for a long time. And I wouldn't believe my best friend, who makes his money in some unorthodox way, that his sister is clean. You following me, sir?
Yes.
That's what I would worry about. Not the fact that she took this money out of a bank account that you gave her access to, that she's had access to for 3 years. You should have been watching the store a little more carefully. Do you understand? Yeah. What I would worry about is my 11-month-old child, if you believe that she was using drugs, which is very easy to find out. You go to court, you file for custody of your child, they take her in, they do a drug test on her hair. They do a hair follicle test, and the hair follicle test will show what kind of drugs she had been doing over the last year, in what amount, and in what frequency. Not whether she used drugs the day before, but it will show a pattern of drug use. That's what you do. Do you understand? If that's what you think.
Well, she even admitted
listen to
me.
me. Have you done that?
What? No.
Take custody of your daughter?
No.
Well, then I hardly believe, sir, that a man, the only one in this whole family of 3, she, her brother, and you, the only one who works, who has a steady source of income for a long time, you're the only one who can manage to hold it together, has not done that. I said, it's okay for you. You can go live with your brother. You and your drug habit, and your brother and his unorthodox business can all go live together, and I'll do what I have to do. That's not what a responsible person does, Mr. Navarro. Responsible person doesn't leave an 11-month-old child with someone who had a $3,000 a month drug habit. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I did not have a drug habit. I had admitted to him that I had tried certain drugs, which I'm not proud of.
Just a second. Where did you get them?
Where did I get them?
No, I asked the question. Don't take time to think of the answer. Where did you get them?
From his...
He gave them to you for nothing, or did you pay for them?
I paid for them.
Out of this money?
Part of it, yes, but not $3,000 worth.
I don't care if it was 20 cents. She says she told you she got the drugs from your...
There was an intervention that we had, and everybody came over, and she admitted that she was doing the drugs, and she did not
just
tell
told me. She just told me she was doing drugs.
But it was more than that. What you admitted.
Listen
it
to
wasn't
me.
only that.
Listen to me, sir. I believe if she admits to a little, she used a lot. My problem with you, Mr. Navarro, is when you go to court and seek custody of your daughter, they will do a drug test on her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you that if it's established that she's been using drugs, the chances of you getting custody of your child, if you don't do drugs...
No. The thing is, if I do that, she said she would run, so...
She said she'll run?
Yeah.
Mr. Navarro, that's what they all say. That's what you're supposed to do if you feel as if your child is at risk. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then, if you have custody of your daughter, that gives her an opportunity to get a job, which now she doesn't have, right?
No.
And once she gets a job, you might get some of this money back. Won't be in the form of this, it'll be in the form of child support that she'll have to pay you to help take care of your daughter. You get it?
Yep.
That would be my concern, sir. My 11-month-old would be my concern. Is it yours?
Yes.
Good, your case is dismissed, that's all.
So balance sheet, definition, explain, and formula and components. 4 times. A balance sheet is a financial statement that contains details of the company's assets or liabilities at a specific point in time. It is one of the 3 core financial statement, income statement and cash flow, being the other 2 used for evaluating the performance of a business. A balance sheet serves as references documents for investors and other stakeholders to get an idea of financial health of an organization. It enables them to compare current assets and liability to determine the business liquidity or calculate the rate at once the company generates returns. Comparing 2 or more balance sheets from different points in time can also show how a business has grown. With this information, stakeholders can also understand the company's prospects. For instance, the balance sheet can be used as proof of creditworthiness when the company is applying for loans by saying that current assets are greater than current liabilities. Creditor can see whether the company has fulfilled its terms, obligations, and how much financial risk it is taking. Balance sheet example with simple formats. Balance sheet depicts many accounts categorized under assets and liabilities like any other financial statement. A balance sheet will have minor variations in structure depending on the organization. Following is a simple balance sheet with all the basic accounts classified under assets and liabilities so that both sides of the assets are equal. So we can say that here is assets and liability. Current assets, we can say that current assets is here cash, petty cash, temporary investment, account receivable, inventory, supply, prepaid insurance, total assets, and investment, property, plant and equipment, land improvement, building, equipment, accumulated depreciation, equipment accumulated depreciation minus, and then tangible assets, goodwill, trade name for total tangible assets and other assets. So you can say that total assets is 7,74,040. And here you can see that liability: note payable, account payable, wages payable, interest payable, tax payable, and unearned revenue and unearned revenue, unearned revenue. So that is called a current liability. Revenue origin হয় না। Long-term liability: note payable, bond payable. Total and owner's equity: common stock holders and retained earning and treasury stock. So total owner's equity. Okay. We can know that so we can say that balance sheet is a financial statement that help you to find out our business position, capability for loan, and how much capability per loan, and we can see how the company organization financial statement is strong or not. So let's go again see, and below what should we talk. Let's go. Phone is hanged. Okay, now we'll try to understand. I have some problem. Let's go. Now you can see key elements and points of balance sheet. A balance sheet consists two main headings. Balance sheet consists two main headings: assets and liability. Let's just take a details book at this component. Assets. Assets is something that the company owns. Assets is something that the company owns and that is benefit for growth of the business. Assets can be classified based on convertibility, physical extents, and uses. A convertibility: this describes whether the assets can be easily converted to cash. Based on convertibility, assets are further classified into current assets and fixed assets. Current assets can be easily converted into cash or cash equivalent within a duration of 1 year. Example include short-term deposits, marketable securities and stock. Marketable securities and stock. Short-term. Fixed assets cannot be easily readily converted to cash. For example, building machinery, equipment, and trademarks. Physical extensions. Assets can be of two types: tangible and intangible. Tangible assets which you can see and feel, like office supplies, machinery, equipment, and building. Intangible assets which do not have physical extents, like patents, brands, and copyrights. Patents, brands, and copyright. As operating and non-operating assets can be classified as operating and non-operating assets. Operating assets which are necessary to conduct business operation. For example, building machinery and equipment. Non-operating assets: short-term investments or marketable securities that are not necessary for daily operation. Operating assets, non-operating assets. Liability at the company owned to other party, owned to other country, that include debits and other financial obligations that arises an outcome of business transaction. Companies settle their liabilities by paying them back in cash or providing an equipment service to the other party. Liabilities are listed on the right side of the balance sheet. Depending on context, liabilities can be classified as current and non-current. Current assets: these include debit or obligations that have to be fulfilled within a year. current liability are also called short-term assets. They include within payable interest, short-term loan, and etc. So we now discuss about the balance sheet. So now we can discuss about trading account, current account. So you can say that is the balance sheet. Balance sheet is nothing. Just calculate our balance and give our financial statements. So thanks for watching this video. Now we discuss about in the balances in next videos.